What up, survivors? Welcome to D180, the horror movie podcast, taking you on a ride. Thanks for riding with us. I'm AJ.
And I'm Janae.
And today we are moving into our second film for 2022, our first Ari Aster film, Hereditary from 2018. Now, before we get there, we got some things to do. First off,
What's up?
Janae. Oh, he's yeah. I'm gonna just go ahead. Go ahead. I was gonna let Janae introduce you. He said, "No, I don't need no intro."
Y'all, this is my best friend Shaquille. We have been best friends since like diapers.
Yeah, what's up, y'all? My name's Shaquille. I go by BlackWikk. I'm an artist here in the DC, DMV area. Janae invited me on because she knows how I feel about horror movies. And I've been wanting to get on this show for a while, so I'm grateful for y'all having me here today.
We had a lot to discuss. It's funny because I remember when I first met you at Janae's Not So Secret Anymore Halloween party. And we were talking about Scream, which is crazy because the day this episode drops, y'all, Scream is out. Scream is out, y'all. Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
Can't wait.
Okay, now at this point that y'all are hearing the episode, I have seen it already. But also remember, we're speaking in the future tense. So technically the movie ain't really out yet, but it is out. So just pretend with us. Janae is going to see it tonight.
Yes.
And then we'll let you know how we feel. Shaquille, are you going to see it?
I'm gonna have to put that one on my list.
What did he say?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Scream is my favorite franchise. What?
I mean, even if it wasn't, it's just like we allowed to witness it. Go see it. that's how much of a big deal it is to me. I'm overhyping it. It's in my top 5 franchises, but just know it ain't top 3. No shade. But well, don't make that face, girl. You ain't girl. Once you actually get some franchises under your belt, that might change, and it might not. And I thought Halloween was your top anyway. You be flipping it, and see, you experiencing the flip, so don't do me. See, she come for me every single show, every single time. Speaking of come for me, I'm about to come for both of us, girl. Why did I listen to our first episode? Ooh. Girl, it sounds so rough. Survivors, oof. I know some of you, a small few of you, have been with us from the beginning, and you've heard the change. You've seen the evolution of the show. I forgot all about it. I went back to that Bad Seed episode. I said, oh. Ooh. If you ever want to laugh, go back and maybe listen to the first 4 episodes, because I'm pretty sure they all sound like that. Anyway. Let's get back to the subject at hand. So today we're talking about Hereditary. Let's do this first because this is our first Ari Aster on the show. And I know that, Johnny, this is your first time seeing the movie. And Shaquille, yes, this is your first time seeing it too.
Yes.
Now, I'm just going to start the show like this, y'all. I have never said this out my mouth, but I'm going to announce it to all the survivors today. I am an Ari Aster Ari ho. And I didn't know this about myself until I watched Hereditary, this watch for the podcast. Now, if you do not know what an Ari ho is, because Johnny is like, what is that? Basically, an Ari ho is a person that go up for Ari Aster, basically. And yes, I made that word up. I made that up.
Oh, because I was like, is this a thing?
No, I think I made that up.
Okay.
But yes, a lot of people are not big fans of Ari Aster. I couldn't tell you why. I am not the one that's just going to be like, this is the greatest thing of all time, even though I slightly do feel that way. But anyway, Janae, have you ever seen any movies in the horror realm that were associated or deemed elevated horror? Have you heard that term before? Or Shaquille, have you heard that term before?
No.
So this is
elevated
horror.
Okay.
Here's the thing. First of all, don't ever fucking say that because it's not even a thing. And I hate when people say it. Elevated horror became a phrase, a term, maybe around 2016, 2017. So films like Raw, films like Get Out, Hereditary, any of the Lighthouse, any of those films that are more of the realm of psychological horror, people have started calling it elevated. and artsy horror. And you'll hear people often say, well, I don't want to see the scary movies with the slashers and the blood. I want to see the elevated horror. And you sitting
That
there
just
like,
sounds so
So they just put
dumb.
that in its own class, like
Just say psychological horror because that's what it is.
Period.
And we know that psychological horrors, as we've seen throughout the show, can be displayed in different ways. So where Ari Aster falls in this argument is a lot of people feel like with his horror movies, I guess they feel like they're not actually horror movies, which,
I can
and I
see
know
that.
we're, yeah. When he started writing the script for this movie, he was like, it wasn't a horror movie, it was a drama. When you can see that when you watch the movie, it is a drama movie, but he was like, I didn't necessarily want it to be a drama, so I had to put some type of genre to it, and the only one that resonated at the time was horror, and that made it easier for me to pull horror elements out. But it is a family drama that turns into a horror movie. Now, when you explain it like that, everything makes sense. I think people aren't giving it the chance it deserves. All the survivors, you guys know this is our second movie for our theme, Nannies Gone Wild. Every month we will be talking about a movie that involves a person of nanny. Janae, a person of who?
Grandma.
Defiant. Just insubordinate. Oh my God. Anyway, person of nanny status that is truly wild. And if y'all don't know why I'm going in on Janae, just go to the first episode where she tried to play me. And why? But anyway, all right, this movie is currently streaming on Hulu with a subscription and Showtime with a subscription. So if you ain't got them subs, you can't watch it. You're gonna have to buy it. I own it, so I didn't have that issue.
Bro, it didn't pop up on Hulu for me.
It didn't?
me
No.
either.
It
I had
only
to rent
popped
it.
up as being on Showtime.
Oh, well, scratch that. Well, Hulu had, they must have snatched it by the time I wrote my notes, I guess.
So I was still able
Quit
to
it.
watch it for free because, my parents still pay for cable. So I just used to log in to watch it. But
It's crazy because they had this movie on Prime for the longest time. They had
It's
both.
still, that's where I watched it.
Yeah, I'm
I
like,
watched
they
it on
had
Prime,
both
but
versions.
they charge now.
Yeah,
And
they
it was
charge now.
free. Like, that's what I was like, what happened? Like, I don't know when, but I know Midsommar is still on there, which is Ari Aster's second film. But
I have that in my watch list. I've just been waiting for a day to watch it.
What's the name of that again?
Midsommar.
Kind of like,
I feel
it sounds
like
like a Shakespearean title.
It is.
There we go.
Kind of, sort of. I mean, Janae,
Like
I
Midsummer
think
Night
you could
Dream.
enjoy it, but I know you gonna laugh because you laugh at inappropriate shit, and you gonna
Because I
laugh.
laughed at inappropriate shit in this movie.
We could talk about all that.
Right, I figure. But before we do, let's go ahead and get into
Park recommendations.
if you liked Hereditary and you're looking for more movies along the lines of this one, I would suggest that you take a ride on 2014's The Babadook. I also go up for that movie. Or 1968's Rosemary's Baby. Now I know there's some things going with that movie behind the scenes, but survivors, if you have any park recommendations that fits today's rides, let us know on our Twitter. Now, like I said earlier, this was you guys' first watch, but for me, after, I don't know how, but this movie came out in 2018, and somehow after avoiding spoilers, I don't know how I did it, I watched the movie a year later. I was up here. The whole room was completely different. I was watching it on my TV while I was filling orders. And this was the wildest shit I ever watched in my life. And I watched it in the middle of the day, and I was shook. When I was first watching the movie, I had no idea where it was going to go. And then 30 minutes in, when that scene happens, I was just like, oh, we are in for a ride, I guess. I wasn't ready. And ever since then, there's been something about this movie that I'm just like, yeah, like usually people don't get it right like that on the first try, but he had everything right. Speaking of, we've already brought him up, but this is directed by Ari Aster, written by Ari Aster, produced by Kevin Frakes, Lars Knutson, and Buddy Patrick, cinematography by Paul Horozinski, edited by Jennifer Lane and Lucian Johnson, music by Colin Stetson, who went the fuck off with this music, And this one is an A24 film. This is also our first A24 film. Okay, look, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I just want to know. Have either of you ever heard about the strange things about the Johnson? Strange.
I've seen the screenshots of it all the time.
I don't recall that one.
Okay, well,
Because it looks like the same people who was in Get Out.
what? That's a little racist.
Bye.
That's black on black crime right there.
But no,
I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Because the girl, the wig that homegirl had on did look
Yeah.
like wig. It did.
it just it's like I seen the screenshots all the time, and I feel like I have seen that short before.
No,
because it looks
you would
so
know.
familiar, but I don't.
Yeah, no, you would know, child. I'm not going to make you guys sit here and watch it because this episode is going to be long. But, you know, I'm pretty sure the survivors would love to know your thoughts about that one. I bring it up because it's Ari Aster's student film. It's what he made to, graduate film school. And baby, it's a rad. And that rad ain't no hoe. But we move. So A24, they've made movies like Midsommar, the one we're talking about today, Hereditary, Lady Bird, The Lighthouse, Moonlight, Waves, It Comes at Night, Lamb that just came out that I heard wasn't too good, but I mean, I ain't seen it, so I don't know. Slice, Zola, all those movies. But like I said, we move. The main cast is Toni motherfucking Collette. Her second appearance on the podcast. We just recently talked about her for our season opener on Krampus, but she plays Annie Graham. She was one of the first choices Ari Aster wanted for the role of Annie. And we talked about this last time that Toni, she was done with horror movies. She was like, yeah, I know I did Sixth Sense, but I ain't doing no more horror movies. But when she read the script for this one, she was like, damn, you got me. All right. We have Alex Wolff as Peter Graham. We know y'all, well, I don't know if y'all do, but I know him from Naked Brothers band. I don't know if y'all was...
Naked Brother, that's where he was from.
Yeah, I was
like him and that
we was on the verge
so
of like leaving Nickelodeon and Disney shows when that show came out. So I only seen it for a little bit. So, some of us was too old to be watching it. Some of us was, that's where he's from though. Millie Shapiro.
I know he was in Jumanji too.
I don't like Jumanji.
He was in something else, but wait, whoa.
Which one? The original or the remake?
I am terrified of the original Jumanji. I told you this.
Really?
Why? Not you, Shaquille, but why are you looking so shocked? I'm scared of that movie.
I've just never heard that before. Really?
I am terrified. So what happened was, because, I tell the story. I'm getting chills talking about it. Like, my older sister thought it would be funny to tell me that I was going to turn into a monkey like the little boy in the movie and lock me in the closet upstairs.
Oh, no.
No, ruined the movie. I never even finished it.
Oh, no.
I have no idea what happens. I do not want
Well, it's a happy ending.
I don't want to know.
It's a very happy ending.
I'm not going to find out.
And it was Robin Williams. That's
what I'm saying.
I understand, but that
scary.
no.
David Alan Grier. Oh, my God.
Oh, no. They ruined
there was sunshine at the end of that movie. So.
She ruined it for me, and I've been to any of the remakes of Jumanji. I've just stayed away. I'm just like, no. And Kevin Hart is in it, that one remake. So how,
really good.
Obviously it can't be scary, but I'm just like that childhood trauma, kind of like what our family is dealing with here. No, we're not doing it. We have Millie Shapiro as Charlie Graham. She and Alex actually went to the same performing arts school. When she did her audition, Ari Aster knew that she would be perfect for the role. And I just want to point out now that she does suffer from a genetically inherited medical condition. It's the same one that Gaten Matarazzo has, the little boy that plays Dustin from Stranger Things, the cute one.
Mm-hmm. I have never seen Stranger Things, so I don't know who you're talking about.
You need to leave.
See, can we screenshot that? Can we screenshot that? What?
You ain't seen not one episode.
No.
You don't know the significance of the egos.
No.
You don't know that motherfucking Robert England is coming for season 4.
No.
Girl, all right.
I have never.
We're done for today. We're about
watched
to binge Stranger Things. We're
Oh
done.
my gosh.
I'm kidding. Sorry, ma'am. Put that at the
Oh.
top of your list, and you're
I mean,
coming.
it's on it, but it was just like, I can't.
Oh yeah, you need to get that done ASAP. Yeah,
Mhm.
ASAP.
Like, oh my god. And then you get to see Billy. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now I'm going somewhere else. But anyway, yes. So they, a lot of people ask, like, do you think Millie got this role because of her look? And I think so, partly, but also she's a really good actress. I've seen some of her other things. She's a Broadway actress, and she's pretty thorough. Then we have Gabriel Byrne as Steve Graham and Ann Dowd as Joan. All right. Now, this episode of Survivors is going to be long because if you've seen this movie, you know this is a movie that rewards rewatches. There are so many things that you can miss the first time, unless you're just somebody that just got it like that and you caught everything on the first time. So the way we're going to do this one is I'm going to give a lot of these things away in the background section that we usually do. And if it's anything worth discussing in our actual discussion, I will bring those up there. So don't worry, I will try to cover as much as I can. This was shot in 32 days. After looking at 5 houses in Utah, the decision was made that the entire interior of the Graham house would be built on a soundstage. This will give the movie more of a dollhouse aesthetic, but that also plays into the theme of the film. The film was also intended to take place in a snowy setting, but timing would, give them what we have now, which was spring. I kind of like that it's in the spring, though, because movies that don't give you that horror vibe, like movies that happen in the daylight, terrify me, because why is this happening during the day? This is not supposed to be happening.
Hey, that's facts.
Yeah, and like with this movie, this is in the spring, so it's not like, see, if it was a winter, we would have already been in that kind of dark and sad, sullen feel. You know what I'm saying? So I mentioned earlier how this film kind of came about, that it wasn't intended to be horror at first. But when he did decide to add those elements, he wanted to make sure that people understood that Hereditary is not a metaphor for mental illness. So a lot of people is like, oh, it's supposed to show how this is getting passed down. Yeah, but no, they're not passing a mental illness down. Actually, what it is, it's kind of a double entendre. We're talking about Ellen Lee's bloodline being a suitable host for Payman. And we'll talk about Payman in a little second. And you know what? I'm going to tell you now, it's okay that we say Payman because that's not actually how his name is pronounced. So we're not summoning anything. So we're good to go. Oh, Johnny, guess what? I like this movie even more because guess what movie it was inspired by?
What?
Carrie.
Oh.
Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Johnny just be so unimpressed anytime I bring
Because everything
Don't
is inspired by Carrie.
Period.
Carrie's great.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
Carrie's
you.
great.
Okay.
Oh my God, I love Carrie.
She's such a hater. She is a hater.
She deserved to go off at the end.
And Johnny was weak. Say it, woman. But yeah, so the original cut of this film was going to be 3 hours. Now, I'm going to take this time out to say, Survivors, I watched those deleted scenes, and I did a bonus episode on Patreon. I did a segment called Delete It or Leave It, where I watched deleted scenes and give my opinion whether they should have stayed in the movie or been cut out. So if you guys want to see that, you can join our Patreon. The link is down below. But I will say these deleted scenes are so loaded. You get character development, you get different sides to people, because even when Ari Aster wrote this script, every single character had pages and pages of backstory that did not make it to the film. But just so the characters will understand who they were supposed to be, they were giving these packets, had to read through the packets to understand their character. And how some movies do, they had the family actually like hang out with each other. So sometimes like Peter and Annie and Steve would have to hang out without Charlie, or Peter and Charlie would like go to Burger King or something like that. And they would actually like have to be in character when they like went out and did this stuff so they could start, figuring each other out as a character family, which I thought that was kind of cool. I like when movies do that. And it kind of shows on the screen as far as, I think, as far as effects, anything that could be done practically was. Y'all know I appreciate that. The only thing I didn't like was those CGI flies, but we will get there when we get there.
Yo,
Like, I was like, these flies look so bad. Like, I couldn't take it. But Hereditary premiered at the Sundance Film Festival on January 21st, 2018. The trailer for the film was released on January 30th of the same year. So check this. There was a screening somewhere in Australia, and they had a whole bunch of kids in the theater, right? Somehow they were supposed to be watching Peter Rabbit. I don't know what the fuck happened, but the movies got switched and they got the Hereditary trailer, and them kids went running the fuck out of the theater. I don't know what it is, but anytime something happened to little kids like that, I laugh because the shit is funny. I don't want them to be like scarred or anything, but I just sat here talking about how I was scarred by Jumanji, and look at me. But before we go, let's talk about Payman really fast, because I want you guys to understand who this is. Oh, you know Payman?
I was going to say, after you give your explanation, we just need to say that that's a demon, because we don't be conjuring up shit. There's power in the name, and you just don't be saying shit, okay?
So was y'all not listening earlier?
she called it.
When I said we was good, because that's not how you pronounce
How
his
you
name.
pronounce it? Yeah, she said that.
That's not how you pronounce his name.
I don't care.
Yeah, I did a deep dive before I knew he was doing this on the show, because I just was curious, and obviously for the research, and I was really trying to figure out. But Ari changed a lot of stuff when it came to Payman, and I think it was because he didn't want to conjure this demon. So in the movie version, Payman is a powerful demon, which some of this stuff doesn't align. He is one of the 8 kings of hell. He is also the king of mischief. So make sure y'all keep that in mind, because it's going to make a lot of stuff make sense. He is believed to be able to give riches and knowledge. And like most demons, he wants to be resurrected into the human world, the mortal world. And the way this needs to happen is through the body of a suitable human. In Payman's case, he would prefer the body of a male, but he'll take anything he gets, but he want the male body.
So I do want to say, I really did see something strange about the Johnsons.
How did you not remember you seen that?
Because I don't remember titles. So a lot of times.
Oh, wow.
But I did see it. And I remember at the time when I watched it, I want to say I was in college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
it came out like a long time ago.
yeah, 2011. Yeah, I was in college. So that's probably why I don't remember.
I just don't understand. No. I just don't because when you see that, you just be like, what? Really, what the fuck did I just watch? And then you think about that for a few days.
No, stuff like that I forget, because I'm just like,
I don't know. You might actually be a sociopath. I don't know. You might actually just be.
A lot of people said that this movie like stuck with them for a few days after.
It did.
It didn't stick with me.
See, no, that's why I'm like, what is the problem? What is, like, do you just not, are you that broke? You just don't feel no more? All right, y'all, with that being said, let's get ready to get in line for 2018's Hereditary.
Step in line. Your number is near. Follow the signs. Your time is here.
So at first, I was almost on the side of skipping the queue line today. We was going to get a fast pass because I was just like, what? What game? What? Because I'm not asking no questions for this movie because they will all be depressing and sad. And then I was like, there definitely is not going to be any type of anything that can come close to this movie. But I actually did find a quiz. We're going to find out if we ourselves will make it through Hereditary without dying. You can also play along with us at home. The link is down below, right under our timestamps mark. And you can go ahead and let us know your results on our Twitter or any of our other socials. First things first, pick a bird. Do you want this little cute turquoise breasted bird with a little orange top and blue wings? Or I think this is a parrot or a parakeet. And it's just all different shades of blue.
I like the bird on the left.
I like the first bird too.
I'm going to take the parakeet.
Perfect. Are you at least close with one grandma?
Nope.
Me either.
This is hypothetical, right?
No, it's real.
Oh. Well, then, yeah, I'm close to my nana.
Yes, answer truthfully.
Yeah, I was like,
And I was thinking that too. I'm like,
Why the fuck you lying?
I mean, my nana all the time. We be joining on people.
who would you rather trust? Ann Dowd, which is who plays Joan, or Millie Shapiro, who plays Charlie?
Charlie.
I'm going
I'm
Charlie.
going with Charlie as well. Who would you rather marry? Would you rather marry Annie, Toni Collette, or Gabriel Byrne, who plays Steve?
Steve.
I ain't passing on Tony. That's a bad bitch.
If we're talking like who the character is in the movie, he put up with a
I
lot.
mean, shoot, he can, but he do.
He put up with a lot. I felt bad for him. He was a real one.
Thank you for defending
He was a
him,
real
'cause
one.
nobody does.
He didn't deserve that. I'm sorry.
He did it.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, there's no pegboard option this week, May, so you got to pick somebody.
I guess I go with Gabe because then I can do what I want.
Oh, wow. Not you.
I mean, you just going to the movies in the middle of the night without your
Well,
husband.
I mean,
Exactly.
I go places by myself all the
To
time.
do what I want.
I mean, yeah, also, I'm not married either, but I go places alone. I hope I can continue to do that.
Right.
But I mean, like, it seemed like it was late. He's coming home, and he just, where you going? Oh, I went to the movies.
He only Spanish one time. Oh my god.
Like,
He only Spanish one time.
cause if I was living with my boyfriend and I'm talking about I'm going to the movies without him, this would be a whole issue. Cause movies are a thing.
I mean, yeah, they are a thing too, but if I just want to go without you, I mean, I'm going to go.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah, my Regal points look good. So.
You might not even want to see
I be
them.
racking up. That's how I take you for free.
Right.
You know what
I'm
I'm
not
saying?
about to drag you to the movies and you don't even want to see it. Like, ruin my experience.
Nah, I'm good. I just need an hour. I'll be back.
I'll bring you some food home, I guess, something. Pick a place to hide. The attic or the treehouse?
Treehouse. I ain't even going to say.
Treehouse.
I don't play with attics. I don't play with
Y'all
attics.
ain't gonna, y'all, look, I get it, but I'm also gonna pick the attic. Well, y'all, nobody picked the attic but me, but I'm picking the attic. I'm not picking that treehouse because no, bitch, I seen what happened in that treehouse. I'm good. Yeah. So now we have this question. It's probably my favorite question. Do you smoke weed? Yes, I do. I can
No.
answer for John Nay.
Every day.
No, she does not. I can answer for
No,
Nay.
I don't.
Here we go.
Yep.
Pick a decoration. Welcome mat or miniature house?
Welcome, Matt.
I am picking the miniature house.
Welcome, Matt.
Do you have any
Welcome
food allergies?
Yes. But
Yes.
non-deadly.
Pick yes, you have
Yeah.
food allergies. Yes. I do not. Pick a Toni Collette movie. Little Miss Sunshine or About a Boy. She looks so different in these screen grabs. Jesus.
In each
Okay,
one.
and both
Sunshine.
look like a whole
Uh,
different person.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little Miss
Because
Sunshine.
isn't that one where the little girl was dancing on stage with what's the boy dude name?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever sleepwalked?
No.
I have not. Pick an Alex Wolf movie, The Naked Brothers Band, the movie, or Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle.
Jumanji.
Ew. I'm just playing.
Jumanji.
I'm gonna pick Naked Brothers Band because we all know I don't play with Jumanji. Do you believe in reincarnation?
Yes.
Yes. Oh Jesus. Pick a way.
Ooh.
Pick a way to get decapitated. Driving into a pole or cutting off your own head.
Driving into a pole.
Instant death or pain slow.
Right. That's what it comes down to.
I'm gonna go with the instant death and drive my pole into a head. I mean, drive
Yeah.
drive my head into a pole. Yeah, I don't know if I could do that.
See, it's like,
Cut my own head.
okay, so if I cut my own head off, can I stop at any point?
No.
I see Saw. That's all I see
Right,
in my
I'm
head.
just like,
It's
yeah.
torturous.
I'm gonna go with driving into a Jesus. I don't know if I could do that, which makes me think I have something else to tell you, but I will bring it up in a second when we get our results. Oh, Jesus. All right. Janae,
All right.
I survived.
you survived.
I survived.
I survived.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna die, but we all survived. So I guess, yeah. Okay, now before I say this, guys, I do unfortunately have to press the spoiler button. We're almost at that time anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead, press that button. I forgot to mention to you guys earlier, Charlie's accident is actually based off of a real incident that happened in real life.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
I
feel like this happened a few times in life.
Probably so. Because my dad tried to tell me one time when we were driving through Alexandria,
stick your head
no,
down.
keep your arms inside the window. One time we were
my wife
driving
used to say that all
around
the time.
with a friend and he had his arm out the window and it hit a sign and it got chopped off. And I was like, the fuck?
Yeah, they tried to tell me one was on school bus. I'm like, bruh.
Then when I brought it up to him maybe like a year or two ago, he was like, I never said that. Sir, yes you did. Yes you did.
I hate when you tell your parents they said something or they did something and they be like, no, I didn't. What are you talking about? I never.
That's
You got a
parental
wild
denial.
imagination. I'm like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
but
Yes, you.
yeah, in real life, Francis Frankie Braun was 23 and he was at a bar with his best friend, like childhood best friends, like diaper, sandbox, love, best friend, John Hutcherson. They were inebriated. Frank was in the back seat. John was driving. I don't know what happened, but Frank stuck his head out the window, got decapitated. John didn't even know this happened. He just kept driving, didn't stop. Blood all over his body. Went home because I think they shared an apartment together. I think I can't remember. Went home, got blood all on him. Is drunk as fuck. Goes to bed. They a lady walking with her baby finds the body just
in the
yes.
car.
Just in the car.
Like how he was like, oh, fuck. Okay.
Just finds the body,
no.
just hanging all the blood, just gushing out the car. And then the family, I don't know whether to say fortunately or whatever, but the family didn't want to see him go to jail because they was like, this has to be an accident. That was his best friend. We know it wasn't malicious. So please show him leniency. I actually don't know, I don't think he went to jail. They was just it's going to be enough for him to just know that he killed his best friend. And even when they found him in the morning, he was still kind of drunk. He still didn't even know what happened.
Register.
Oh, Jesus.
Man.
I couldn't imagine.
Wow.
Ooh, no. With that being said, survivors, it is finally our time to get into our first Ari Aster film on D180, 2018's Hereditary.
Come on, Peter. Let's just do it.
It's heartening to see so many strange new faces here today. I know my mom would be very touched and probably a little suspicious. My mother was a very secretive and private woman. It's Grandma. You know you were her favorite, right? Even when you were a little baby, she wouldn't let me feed you because she needed to feed you. She was a very difficult woman, which maybe explains me.
I recognize you from your mother.
What?
Sometimes I swear I can feel them in the room.
Oh my God! What's that?
She isn't gone.
She had private rituals, private friends.
Who's gonna take care of me?
You don't think I'm gonna take care of you?
But when you die,
She wasn't altogether there. At the end.
What's happening? Peter! Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother! Please stop! Mom, what's happening? Make it stop! Make it stop!
I just don't want to put any more stress on my family.
You know, I have car trauma.
Car trauma?
Yo.
Because when I went to like this summer camp that my parents made me go to when I was like 12, we had this camp counselor and she had like a tragic ass life, okay? She had a boyfriend died in a car accident. Well, she told me the story of how her boyfriend died. Apparently, they were all in the car or whatever and had seatbelt on, got into an accident. Everyone else is alive, but he's dead because the seatbelt constricted so much that it got his organs on the outside. So like they're like sitting in pool of blood in the
like it lacerated, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So after that, every time, you know how like sometimes you move too fast in the car and look, I be getting freaked out and I be like, because of that story that she told me when I was like 12.
I mean, free accidents happen.
I get yelled at a lot, but when I put my seatbelt on, I don't put it over my chest. And I know a lot of people are probably like yelling at me right now, like, well, what the are you doing? I don't put it behind me. I just put it under my armpit because for some reason it going over my neck. It be like, I don't like this. And you know, you can move it on the side, but I'm so short. And even when I move the feet up, it's still over like my neck. And I don't like that feeling when you move forward and it just jerks. You're not about to decapitate me. So I put it under my armpit. It's still like kind of over my chest, but it's just not touching my neck.
Even though that's like a freak story, and I don't know how many people have died from the seatbelt constricting like that. But like,
I mean, think of okay, now my sister got into a car accident and the seatbelt did leave like scrapes on her from tightening up. But think about Delicious from Flavor of Love. She had all of them like deep cuts on her. Like, I don't know if you will remember, but
yeah,
she had all them deep cuts from her seatbelt in that car accident. So them things definitely.
One of our church members growing up, she went blind for I don't know how long from the airbag deploying.
I was about to say the seatbelt.
No, it was airbag.
Yeah,
like, that's not
they usually have like strap, like little like pieces of strap metal and stuff like that that come out their stuff, powder.
Yep. She was blind for a good little minute.
Jesus, talk about supposed to save us, but
that's what I'm saying. I mean, am I supposed to be grateful that I'm alive and blind, or?
Right, I was fine for that.
At first, I thought you was saying this to go into the trailer, but I realized you was just talking.
Yeah, no. I hated the trailer.
You didn't? Wow. Okay.
You know how I feel about trailers. I didn't really like it.
I did not mind the trailer, but I didn't mind the trailer because when you watch it, it makes you think differently of the movie. If I would have seen this before I saw the movie, I would have thought we was getting another creepy kid movie. That's what I would have thought. I did not expect what I saw. I
didn't get creepy kid movie.
I got like eerie house. Somebody was the culprit, but I don't know. I didn't see it going that direction from when I saw the actual from the trailer.
We start our movie with an obituary, just a little excerpt for Ellen Lee's funeral. As Annie, Ellen's daughter, sits in the car, Steve, her husband, rounds the house, waking up their 16-year-old son, Peter, and their 13-year-old daughter, Charlie, who was asleep in the treehouse. Steve lightly scolds Charlie for sleeping outside in the cold, but Charlie saying, that's okay. After the funeral, Annie, Ellen's daughter, delivers a eulogy explaining her fraught relationship and her mother's extremely private life. To drive the point further, she acknowledges the attendants of the service are pretty unfamiliar. Real ain't recognizing real right now. Even speaking about her feels wrong. As she continues, clicking can be heard, and it's Charlie who is drawing Annie at the podium in her small sketchbook. Steve redirects her focus and the funeral continues. While it's time to view the body, Charlie looks up to a guy just staring at her and smiling. Someone also comes up to Ellen Lee and wipes something across her lips and just dips out. Steve finds Charlie staring off while eating a king-size bar of chocolate and confirms with her that it doesn't have nuts. And not even a minute later, Annie comes and asks the same question, stating that they do not have the EpiPen. The family arrive home as faint footsteps can be heard somewhere around the house. And Annie gets a text from the contractor that she has a current deal with, asking to see her project on her miniature. She's a miniature artist. We see some in the beginning. We'll talk about it in a second. Regardless of the status of completion, they're just trying to see where she's at in her project. That night, Steve checks in on Peter, who isn't too affected by recent events, whereas Charlie is taking it differently, not in a crying way, but out of everyone in the house, she's the one who is visibly upset. Annie is comforting her, telling her that, you were grandma's favorite. She wouldn't even let me feed you because she had to. Charlie chimes in, she wanted me to be a boy. Annie tries to navigate the situation, thinking this is more about, maybe not being a girly girl, maybe being a tomboy, just trying to give Charlie some assurance when Charlie asks, who's going to take care of me? Annie, low-key offended, jokes that I'm right here, Dodo, but Charlie adds, but when you die. Annie, unable to really comfort Charlie, hugs her, and as she does, she sees the word satiny written on the wall. Okay, let's stop right there. I skipped over the very opening shot of the movie. So the movie opens, you see the treehouse. We're in Annie's studio. You see a shot of the treehouse. There's a fly trying to get out the room, but as it flies off, we zoom to a miniature of the Graham house and zoom into Peter's room. Now, off top, as I said earlier, the whole set was created to make everything look bigger, kind of like how it was in Krampus. Just to make everything look bigger than it is, make it look very unreal. But when you do this throughout the movie, I just want to present this now. If you guys ever rewatch this movie, think as if you're watching through the cult's perspective and not because it feels like the whole time you watch this movie, you feel like you're someone else in the room and you're not actually supposed to be there. You know what I mean? So if you look at it through the cult's perspective, you can really see how everybody's just being manipulated despite what's going on.
So I thought this movie was going to be a little bit different based off the opening scene. I thought that we was going to have one of these creepy dollhouse movies where the dollhouse somehow be controlling the people or some shit. Kind of like The Haunting of Bly Manor when the little miniature figurines was related to the people somehow.
Yeah, they had a couple things that kind of I guess they introduced, but then just left it there. Like the dollhouse, I thought they was gonna play around that more. And then how they, like you said, they made a big emphasis on the whole EpiPen, her eating a chocolate bar. I thought we would see an allergic reaction at some point or something a little bit different, Because
a lot of people are like, well, why don't y'all have an EpiPen with y'all? Now I'm not gonna stunt because I got hella nieces and nephews and some of them use EpiPens. After a while, you do not be thinking about that damn EpiPen. At this point, they know what they should be eating, what they shouldn't. And yeah, you should have it just in case. But at this point, she 13. If she can't figure it out, then it's just well, shit. Well, I mean, we ain't got it.
We can't even say that because one of our friends, Pom hit her face and she was about to die
and didn't have that EpiPen.
Crazy.
I forgot all about that. And she was in her 20s.
Mind you, she didn't even touch the chicken. And didn't even touch the chicken. I think somebody else ate the chicken and had the pom-poms because we switched palms at some point.
Yeah.
Because we were doing some type of dance. And the pom-pom touched her face. Bro, had to call the ambulance.
Yeah. But like I said, she was in her 20s, had no EpiPen, no type of medication. So I can buy them not having an EpiPen. That didn't bother me at all. One thing I do want to talk about is I'm gonna just say this from jump. I truly believe that Charlie is not Charlie when we meet her. I think based off of what we learn later, and the pieces will make sense when we get there. And that's why this movie is so hard to talk about. I think that's Payman. And it's just like Charlie is in a sunken place, like on autopilot. Because when we first meet her, she's sleeping outside. Demonology 101 tells you demons like the code. They stay like demons ain't trying to be in no heat. So all top when she was like, that's okay. I'm like, girl, like, sis, because you know they
with no heater,
right,
too.
like she just out there just chilling, whatever. So I honestly think that based off what we know, and some other evidence will support that in a little bit, that this is not Charlie. Like Charlie's on autopilot. Like this is definitely Payman. This is why when she looks at that creepy ass guy that's staring at her, she don't think twice of it. When she sees
I gotta talk about that creepy guy because I thought it was gonna go left.
I mean, it did.
No, you know what?
I know what left she mean. We know what left John name mean, but I mean, technically, it still went left
because that was a weird, creepy ass stare.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you sitting there cheesing like that?
He knew what she was.
That's what I'm like.
Weird.
He knew who he was looking at. He was excited,
or they knew they was plotting.
I mean, yes,
it had to be.
We know
something.
that now, but in the moment, I was like, "This."
It wasn't.
What is going on here?
So when we hear Annie deliver her eulogy, we see that she's wearing the same necklace that her mom has on in her casket. Now, another thing, I'm going to be very honest. People are like, well, she ain't looked up what the symbol meant. I'm not going to lie to you. I wouldn't have. If my mom gave me something and me and my mom ain't that close, first of all, this is probably her first time wearing it. She literally is probably on, and I've done that. I am very guilty. Like I've had family members pass and I will wear like a piece of something that they gave me to the funeral that I've never worn before. Like, I know that's bad, but I've done it. So I can honestly see her wearing that necklace for the first time, just thinking like, oh, this is something my mom gave me. So, I mean, I guess I'm gonna wear this today. But at the same time, if they was close, then she would have known what it was anyway, because she would have been down. But this is just more to show you that like her mom's relationship is just not there. The last couple of things I want to talk about before we move on, I do hear people often talk about what would this movie have looked like if it was a Black family. First of all, if Black Toni Collette or Black Annie, whoever, would have seen that writing on the wall, Charlie would have got her ass whooped. Because she would have been like, who was writing on my just writing all over this house? You got a whole art station. You want to write on the house? But yes, speaking of those words, I'm going to go ahead. We see a few words throughout the entire movie. We see satiny, which means it's just a word associated with bringing the dead back to life. Zazas is a word used to summon a demon, but we're good because I didn't say the whole thing. And then Liftouch Pandemonium means open up chaos or hell. I have a gang of links down below on people I think have done like really great work analyzing this movie, giving you different perspectives. So you can find all those links down there, and they'll give you like full analysis on these words, what they mean, where they come from, payment, just the whole shebang. So if you want to get in that, you can definitely check out the show notes once we're done here. But back to it.
Like the people who be making these movies be putting too much detail in it. Like
but that's what makes it better. You don't like that?
Yeah, that's what gives it that.
Like, it's like, but why are you using real shit? Like, why?
Because this movie could easily fail had it not had that background. Like, if first of all, choosing payment versus choosing the devil, that already gives you one up, because anybody, we could have just been like, yeah, the devil did it. And, you know, everybody does that. That would have been simple and plain. But just knowing that you literally took the time out to actually like look this stuff up and know what you're talking about. And it's so, as we get into the movie, because, you know, I done found it. It's so much of the stuff that I found that he actually did his work on to like make this work. But I mean, in all, it makes the movie work. Annie is in her office when she finds her mom's book on notes on spiritualism, deciding to, you know, thumb through it. She finds a letter that reads, "Please don't hate me and try not to despair your losses. You will see that they were worth it. Our sacrifice will pale next to the rewards." Not really understanding what that means, she packs it up to leave the room, and turning off the light, she sees an apparition of her mom staring at her, almost smiling, but disappears as soon as Annie flips the light back on. This time, before she leaves, she turns around one of her miniatures, and this one is of her in the bed holding Charlie as her mom stands over her with her titty out. Yes, with her little titty out. Next day, Charlie is working on her own miniatures made of random parts while she's supposed to be taking a quiz. When the teacher stops her to nicely redirect her attention, a bird smashes into the class window. As the class goes into an uproar, Charlie remains in her seat staring at a pair of scissors. Meanwhile, in Peter's class, they're discussing fate. Basically, do you turn the free will button on when you're playing The Sims? Or do you let your Sims have any autonomy? You guys play Sims, do you? You let your Sims have free will, or you make them do everything you make them do?
It's a mixture of both.
Okay. I was just trying to see what type of ruler you were, because
because I don't got time to be. I got like 10 Sims. If I'm over here dealing with so and so, I need you to be able to fend for yourself and not die.
they're gonna put themselves in the corner. They're gonna set something on fire and not be able to get out. The chair being away, they can't get. Oh my god, they be pissing me off. Anyway,
I haven't played in a long time, but
I just played this weekend. I have a whole town. I reverse gentrified my Sims and I kicked all of everybody out and put Black people and other people of color in all the houses.
Black owned Sims.
Yes. But anyway,
Sims be taking up too much time in my life, and I feel like
it does.
If I was to go back down the rabbit hole, I would never get anything done.
You wouldn't. This is why I dedicate days to it.
I just haven't gone back.
Because especially if you play with CC and mods, like, oh, it's a wrap. You got to dedicate a whole day to that.
Have not gone back.
Whole time during class, Peter ain't even listening. He's too busy staring at Bridget's booty and texting his friend about smoking later. We find Charlie outside. You know, she's just smashing another chocolate bar. This girl loves a chocolate bar. As she walks up to the bird from earlier with a pair of scissors from class and cuts the bird's head off. Right after stashing it in her pocket, Charlie turns around to see a woman across the street in the parking lot. As the woman makes eye contact with Charlie, she gives her a little wave. Let's rewind. So when Annie is in her office, I noticed that like she pulls out 2 rugs. One has like her name on it and the other one has Charles. So at first, because Charlie had just said that the grandma wanted her to be a boy, I thought that, like, Johnny, you make blankets. I'm not saying you're in a cult, but you make blankets and other things. You know how you just made Tiffany a blanket for her baby, and obviously it was for a girl. Yep. Now, what if Tiffany had a boy?
I would have remade one.
I was wondering, was like she hoping she had a boy and she made this rug for Charles, thinking the baby name was going to be Charles, but Annie's brother's name is Charles. So I think that was the rug made for him, not her. To the apparition, this was the first of many scenes in this movie that actually got me because there's no like sting. I like that this movie, as far as the I don't know, like if I could call them jump scares, because the jump scare would have to be accompanied by a loud noise. And this movie doesn't do that. We get like one moment where maybe 2 moments where you can classify them as jump scares in this movie. But the rest of them is just like, if you catch it and you see what they're seeing. And that's also another thing I like. You see the characters react to whatever the horror is before you actually see what it is. So you see Annie's face like looking in the corner, and you just see her looking like, what the fuck is that? And you like, well, what the fuck is she looking at? And then you look, and it's so dark that you trying to see what she's looking at. But then when you do finally see her mom there, you're like, oh shit, is that her? And you don't know if like the mom about to like do some 3D digital face or something. And she doesn't do anything. She just stands there. But for me, it works because had they done like something where the mom run towards her or some loud noise, that would have ruined it for me. I don't know about you guys.
I just want to say, let my mama have been in some secret ritual shit. I would have been all up in them books. Like, if you die and you got secret,
okay,
I would want to know.
It's just the way that both of us just stopped. Like, now wait a minute.
I would want to know.
Like, what you mean in them books? Like, you want to study these books, or you like trying to be nosy?
Want to be nosy? What you know? What you doing? Like, she just literally said, my mom has secret rituals and secret things and secret friends or whatever.
Yeah,
I would be curious. Like, what the fuck was you in here doing?
I understood why she wasn't curious too. After she had a chance to explain what she was bottling up, I was like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
would be away
she
from
just
you
don't want
too.
nothing to do with her
Mhm.
mom. She was like, pack that up and keep
I
it clean.
understand that too, but I'm still nosy, so I would want to know.
She really did not like her mom.
Peter's classroom scene, I also wonder, was this supposed to be the classic classroom scene? But what makes me kind of question this a little bit is Ari Aster is not a horror fan, like at all. He does like Carrie. He admitted it. It's in the show notes. Y'all can go check the proof for yourself. But yes, he does like that movie. But as far as like putting things in movies that would make you think like, oh, this is from this is from this, I don't know if he has that horror knowledge. Like any of the survivors, if you understand what I'm saying, you can weigh in on this on Twitter or wherever you want to comment at. But I'm not sure. Like, I guess this is supposed to be like that classic classroom scene because the teacher is talking about like not Socrates. I can't think of the dude's name, but he's talking about all of that, just talking about like, is this fate or do they have a choice on what's happening? And of course, he's not listening. So that's, of course, what would be happening in the scene. The person that it's about is not receiving the message. But
I just also want to know why you have scissors sharp enough to cut off a bird's head in the classroom.
Yeah, that was a clean cut.
Like, no struggle, no nothing, just...
Well, my good sis Charlie, y'all got to remember her and her mama, they be working with
And
these
she-
miniatures. They know how to make stuff work. Them scissors probably wasn't even that
true.
sharp.
That's very true.
Charlie was like, I do this at home.
Yeah, she probably.
Like, it just happened way too easy.
And then just stuck it in her pocket, no blood.
Right.
Nothing. It was like you seen the guts a little bit, but that was just it. She just stuck it right in her pocket. But speaking of that scene, when she sees the woman across the street, now that I told you guys, I think of it, well, not think of it, because I'm pretty sure that that's not even Charlie. That's fucking Payman. Charlie left as a baby. Like I feel like I don't know how to describe it, but when you see Charlie's face, what if these moments that we get with Charlie are equivalent to those final moments we get with Peter? They just aren't as dramatic with Charlie. Like she's going through it by herself, and it's not like the family is in on it yet, like how it was with Peter. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like they didn't really know it was happening to her.
Like because she's seeing these co-members just looking at her, smiling at her. She's like, nobody else see this shit. Am I going next?
That makes sense with the whole blue sparkle thingy thing.
Annie notices her mom's door is open to her room. Why? When she goes in there, there's a triangle pointing to the northwest and dang near burned and etched into the ground. Knowing it's kind of a lot to ask, she has Steve lock the room. Once he does, the cemetery calls to inform him Ellen's grave has been desecrated. He keeps this from Annie, telling her it was only about billing. And later, Annie heads out for a movie, but is really going to a support group. After some encouragement, Annie reveals that the rest of her family suffered from mental illnesses that resulted in their deaths. She details that her mother has DID and dementia. Her father died from starvation when she was young, and her brother committed suicide at 16 and left a letter blaming Ellen that she was trying to put people inside of him. But this was written off after doctors claimed he had schizophrenia. Amy goes on to detail how she kept Peter away from her mom as Steve enforced a no contact rule between the two, but ended up feeling bad. So when Charlie was born, she basically handed her over. She ends by saying that she feels blame for everything that has happened in the family, but cannot explain why. Okay, let's stop right here. Another thing, I just said this a few seconds ago. I feel like when Annie went into the bedroom, looking, seeing her mom's like, why the fuck is this open? There's a mirror. Like there's a mirror on both sides of the room. I feel like they easily, any other studio, Blumhouse, would have been like, put a jump scare in there. Put something in the mirror. Make it, do something like that. I like that literally nothing happens at all. But one thing I do want to point out, I have no idea if this means anything. If you look, there's a little teacup sitting in the grandma's window. And a few times, I'm just going to bring this up now because I think this happens around this time, that we see a picture of the grandma feeding Charlie with the bottle. I don't know if you noticed, but the bottle has like black shit at the bottom. Like there's black stuff at the bottom of the bottle. So that's why I was saying, you know how Annie was like, she wouldn't let me feed you. She had to feed you. I think it's a metaphor.
Yeah, she
I don't
said
think
that.
that the granny was literally like giving Charlie her titty. Like, I don't even know how that would have worked out.
Because all right, so this would trip
Mhm.
me out when she was in the meeting and she like finally like got to
Yeah.
talking. She said, I gave her
Mhm.
Charlie. I'm like, as a parent, first off, what you mean you gave your I'm like, what? I guess to raise her, take care of. She's like, because I didn't want her to have him. Because now it's just seeming like, I guess she was prepping that middle passage for
Yeah.
the demon until he could get to the
Right.
boy.
That's
You
exactly
know?
what it was. I think so when I tried so hard not to call this woman Tony during the Krampus episode, we kept going Tony Sarah. But and yeah, Annie, I think what she meant was like, you know how I don't have kids, but you know how you have a kid and they probably have some type of relationship with certain family members, but there might be one family member that might not have gotten that relationship with them. So now you have another kid and those two are able to have a different relationship from that other kid. That's what I think she meant. Because if they had a no contact rule when Peter was there, Peter definitely ain't had no relationship with Ellen. And I think that plays a role in why Peter really wasn't affected when, you know, Ellen died, which is crazy though, because we kind of glossed over that. Actually, no, put a pin in that. We'll come back. That's a conversation for another part of the movie. But I think that does contribute as to why Peter does not have those strong feelings as does Charlie when it comes to her grandma dying. She's like, yeah, like, you know, like this was the person that was taking care of me. She was doing this, she was doing that. And now she's not here. So now I'm left with you, nignogs. Now what we doing?
Yeah, she
She wasn't. She
out.
was not.
She's basically, I'm out.
So I just think like it was one of those things, like she was definitely grandma's baby in so many words, but I don't, you know,
sure.
grandma, well, from what I get from the movie, grandma just started living with them when she got sick. So, I mean, I guess grandma was always around when Charlie was a baby, but then she really started living with them. So who knows what the fuck she was doing then when she was in that house? Because
before
we don't. And based off her room, her room is empty and she ain't been in the ground that long. So I don't see them like cleaning out her room.
Her room was empty.
Let's get into the support group scene. This is the first scene where I'm just like, Tony, I don't know why you didn't get no major awards. I am pissed for you. She got some awards for this movie, but she didn't get the ones that she should have got. And that's because they be hating on horror. But when she starts talking about her father and her brother from what we know now, you realize that nobody was ever suffering from any type of mental illness. Like everybody was plagued by demons. This is why everybody was acting out. And of course, you know, like to a doctor or anybody that diagnoses people with those type of things, they're going to be like, oh yeah, this is schizophrenia. This is bipolar disease. This is dementia. This is Alzheimer's.
Depression.
Right. No, this is something serious. Y'all just can't explain it. So y'all just going to write it off this way. So this is why nobody batted an eye at it. Now, one other thing I want to point out, did you guys notice that Joan is sitting right there in support group with Annie? The first time we see her like go in there, like Joan is just sitting right there.
I didn't pay no attention to her the first time, to be honest.
Yeah, she's just sitting right there.
It wasn't until she doubled
like this.
Yeah, I was like, dang, she just played like a normal background.
The entire time, because I didn't notice her till, okay, I think I've seen this movie either 4 or 5 times. And I know I didn't notice it till the second time that she was right there, but it was only because of her hair. But I was like, oh, they literally planned this whole thing out. They said, we're going to get you one way or another, sis. Back home, Peter is texting his friend about going to a house party while on his Bruno Mars smoking out the window. As he does, we can see someone else, you know, blowing breath back. The next morning, Charlie is in her room tinkering with her miniatures when a blue light enters the room. Once she notices the light, she follows it outside to the back of the house. Following another set of footprints, Charlie sees her grandmother standing out back in front of a fire. Back inside, Peter asks his mom if he can attend a barbecue, aka the bring your own dick party. I don't know if y'all saw that text messages when he was like, bring your dick. Do boys really talk to each other like that?
Yeah, I was thrown off. I didn't know what they was talking about. I'm like, where is this going?
I low-key thought he was gay because in the class at first they were talking
Yeah,
about something about the jack my dick. Let me take pictures. Like, what? Who says
Okay,
that?
now I will say this. When I was in high school, middle school, I do remember boys doing stuff like that, but I never understood it. But like,
I don't know.
yeah, that one makes
Yeah.
sense.
that one
I don't know
is not
anybody
for
who
me.
does that.
But like, the boys, like, they would do ball taps and stuff. Like, I don't know what they was texting each other, but I know they would like say random stuff to each other. I don't know. Like, I don't
like
Ball
yeah,
taps?
they would like
What?
randomly be
What
like
is that?
and just
that's weird.
like nut check like that. Y'all never heard nut check? Okay, never mind.
No.
Well, I mean, I'm
No.
not a boy, so I wasn't part of this. I just what I was witnessing. But all right.
Sounds a little sketch.
Trenches.
Since Peter is such a terrible liar, Annie suggests that he take Charlie with him. Looking for Charlie to get her ready, Annie finds her out back and begins yelling at her, but seems to not even notice what Charlie is seeing. Okay, let's stop right here. So this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This is Payman. Payman said, baby, one way or another, we gonna figure this out. Charlie, real recognize real. You see me. I know part of me is in there already, but this is the other part. So just follow suit, homie. Get ready. I'm about to show you some shit. So let's go to Peter and Annie's conversation. I'm just like, Peter, she was giving you an out, sir. She said, is there going to be drinking at this party? And he was like, no. She was like, oh, well, that sucks. She was giving you an out to say you were going to a party. You just kept lying. I don't know how I feel about that, because I'm just like, me at 16, I was immaculate with putting the pieces of the story where I needed to tell my parents where I was trying to go without telling them where I was going. And I don't know if it's just because their relationship is strained.
I would have said there wasn't going to be alcohol either.
I mean, first of all, okay. Yeah. First of all, he says, I'm going to a party.
But she asked like she already know.
Yeah, like she asked, like, I know. And then she even says, well, that sucks. Like, damn, y'all not drinking at my age.
Because it sounded like she was going to
let him go.
If he said, yeah, she was going to say, well, you need to get picked up, basically, or something like that. Because she was like, because he asked to use the car, and she was like,
right.
But, I mean, I guess he needed it.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like, had you just been like, yeah, like, she probably would have said something. But I mean, clearly it seemed like she was with the shits, because she was just like, okay, well, yeah, that sucks. Y'all not drinking. But I am trying to decide, like, should Annie have made
doing reverse psychology?
You was thinking. No,
yeah,
I think she was literally just sitting there like, what did this little boy want now? He asking me for the car. I know you about to be drinking, but you sitting here talking about you not. Okay, well, since you not, take Charlie with you. And here's my thing. If you're going to send your daughter out, I kind of feel like at that point, maybe get the EpiPen, maybe make sure she got it. But also, I'm like, should Annie have made her go? I just think Annie wanted her to like interact with other kids, because Peter kept saying school barbecue, even though you ain't seen not damn flyer, you ain't got not no call about it, no emails from the school, because y'all city look like the type of school that do emails. But I digress. I don't know.
Seemed like she just wanted a moment to herself, like no kids, everybody out the house. But she knows she couldn't really I mean, even though Charlie could always go to the treehouse, but that's still not really out the house, you know. Like she was just like, y'all go, like get far away for a little bit.
I can see that, because especially, you know, like she's still trying to sort stuff out herself, trying to figure out. Left without a choice, Peter and Charlie go to the party. Once there, Peter sees Bridget and offers her some weed, some really good weed. Wanting to be alone, Peter leaves his sister unsupervised, and Charlie eats cake with nuts and starts falling into anaphylactic shock.
The crazy thing about it, the cake ain't have nuts in it. The nuts were on the counter. They used the same knife to cut the nuts that they used to cut the cake. That's where they got her fucked up.
Okay, I see. I must have missed that, because I thought I saw her drink the water, and I thought it was something on the cup.
It was the cake.
That, like, when you first see them in the kitchen before they cut the cake, they were using that butcher knife to chop nuts. And then it looks away. They come back. They're cutting the cake. Yeah, Charlie, go get some cake. And I'm like, shit, they just used the same knife to chop up the nuts. But there was no nuts in the cake.
So that was actual reaction.
Yeah, she was actually having a reaction.
Got it.
I want to say this because I've heard people say, and I realize that I just feel like I've lived a different life from a lot of people. I've baked cupcakes at a kickback before. That was not weird to me. I don't know about anybody else, but everybody was like, y'all be baking when y'all do house parties? Oh, yeah. We definitely have hit the cup, not like a full-blown cake, but we've definitely made cupcakes. And when we've done that, they were already made like before the party even came. We did this like hours ahead. We wasn't doing it while the party was in tow. But
parties I went to barely even had food.
Oh no,
we had alcohol.
We had alcohol. And it wasn't like food. If somebody could get access to their mama food stamp cards, and we was gonna get some chicken and fries, like, you know, like a big little pan. But if that wasn't the case, then it was just like everybody bring snacks, which our teen college asses, that meant bring chips and dip or cookies.
It was just alcohol. You better have ate before you came. Or eat on the way home.
Yeah.
Oh no, y'all living.
Unless we were going to my Filipino friends and they were having a party, because then they got the big ass roasted pig and all that stuff. Then you know we had food. But
well, another thing I just want to mention is, okay, I don't know if this is just me, but anytime I see a person significantly younger than me and it looked like they not supposed to be here, do I just feel like the unofficial guardian of said person? Is that just me? Does that make sense?
I was gonna say, yeah, no, I definitely feel you. I know women feel like that's instant, like what's this kid doing here? All right, let me make sure you good, put you in the corner, something like that, X, Y, and Z. But nah, that's what I said too, because he looked awkward coming in, like nobody noticed this kid walking behind him. I got younger. I got like a smart like 10-year-old from it. Or maybe 11, but I didn't realize she was 13.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's just, you know, besides her being 13, she ain't got no friends there. Definitely had I seen her at the party, I would have been, even if I was a little lit, I would have been like, yeah, little buddy, just roll with me. Where your brother at? Oh, he in the room smoking weed. Oh, okay. This is the second thing. Now, I'm not trying to incriminate any of my family members. Since we talking about it, why you just ain't take her with you? And just had her little ass sit down in the room.
I'm just gonna say, and you spray her ass down when you go back home.
I'm not being funny, but my sisters have definitely done that with me before. Like, I have either I've been with them and I sat in the car and they like were at the park and they was outside the car, or like I was playing on the playground while they was doing it. Or it's been a few times that we have went over somebody's house and they've literally had all the little kids. We was all playing in one room and everybody else was throughout the rest of the house. Why you just ain't take her with you? I don't get it. Like,
I wouldn't have left my if I knew I had to drive, I wouldn't have left them like nowhere in the house by themselves. I don't know party like that. Not if it's just me and you and we drove that far, because they was like the road they took initially, it was like dark. It was nowhere to be found.
I will say this, there is and like I said, I covered this, but it's a deleted scene where he mentions that the house is almost an hour away. So hell yeah, that's a long ass drive, girl. You about to be my shadow. Like, you about to be right behind me. Like, if we about to come in this room and smoke this weed, you about to come get secondhand contact. Like, that's just what it is. When we get home, just tell mama, I don't know, they was barbecuing something. I don't know. Like,
I could see why they deleted that scene, because I was wondering at first, but now when you see the scene itself in the actual movie, you can tell it depicted a long drive.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of I will say this, I'll give you guys a little taste. In that same scene, when Peter is mentioning that it's an hour away, Charlie actually is talking. Now, we really don't get a lot of Charlie talking throughout the entire movie, but in this scene, before they go in the house, she's like, I don't want to go in there. Can you just take me home? Like, I will sit outside. Like, she is so adamant about not going in this house. Like, she was like, I will sit in the car. Like, just, I don't want to go in there. And like I said, I think it's because Charlie is in the sunken place and she knows that her demise is coming and she don't want to fucking go in that house. She knows like whatever is in the house is going to jumpstart the shit. And that's just what it is. But they cut that scene out. And I kind of like that they cut it out, because if we would have had that scene, it would have made Charlie a different character, because we really don't get her talking too much throughout the movie anyway. You know what I mean? But Peter, once this happens, Peter, high out of his mind, drives her to a hospital versus calling an ambulance to a party where there's underage drinking and drugs. Driving expeditiously, Charlie writhes around in the back seat, gasping for air, leaning out the window. Peter swerves to avoid a dead deer in the road, and Charlie is decapitated by a telephone pole, the same one that they passed earlier. And if you notice, it had the Coke symbol on it. In complete shock, Peter is just ruined. He doesn't know what the fuck just happened. He's not even sure if that really just happened. And just to confirm, he silently drives home and leaves his sister's corpse in the car. Hearing this, Annie can be heard saying, "Oh, thank God they're home," as Peter walks catatonically and alone to his room. Peter stares blankly in his bed until sunrise, where Annie can be heard leaving to go get some balsa wood. Heading to her car, she discovers Charlie's bloody body and freaks the fuck out, confirming Peter's worst nightmare from last night. While the family grieves following Charlie's death and funeral, tensions begin to heighten between Annie and Peter. And we also see, like, this is where we see Zaza's on the wall. In the party scene, let's just go back, because there's some things in this party scene we got to talk about. John, you know we love to talk about extras on this show.
I ain't looking at none of them.
Okay, well, you didn't see it, but there's this one extra. He is like, it's the part where Peter walks up to Bridget and Charlie's behind him and he's talking about, I got some really good weed. It's this boy. Is my water bottle closed? Yeah. It's this boy. You can tell he has an empty cup in his hand because he just keeps doing like this. I know, survivors, you guys can't see me, but I know as dramatic as I am, you probably know what I'm doing. He's just throwing the cup back and just pointing at Peter and Bridget. I'm like, first of all, you shouldn't even be looking at them. Why? I hate when extras do that.
Yeah, man, just fake drinking, watching these people.
Right. Act. They couldn't put no water in the cup to like give it some weight so he can actually be holding a cup of water, or like have somebody stand next to him so he could talk to them or something like that. But anyway, now, next thing I want to talk about, when Peter walks into the room, those kids are watching videos of beheadings. Like, is somebody getting decapitated with a guillotine? Yeah. Like, so it's real quick. Like, you go past it, you see the guillotine come down, and then you see Peter and Bridget walk in. And that's when he walk in, and Bridget's like, he's got the weed. First of all, homie, I said weed can smoke. I ain't say everybody in this room. Girl, I would have walked out. Because, no, baby. Are y'all putting it? We matching?
That was family.
Right. I'm like, no, baby, I brought this for me and you. So it's not everybody. But would you guys have called an ambulance to the party?
Yes.
Yeah, EpiPen, allergic reaction. Yeah, somebody about to. Yeah, you're about to die. Like, yeah.
I think I would have.
I don't care about your party, and I don't know y'all for real. So
I would have called the ambulance.
I think, because I see why he didn't. I would have called the ambulance, but I also think that I probably would have like drove somewhere. Like called. Not like next to the house, like just like, because I like I said, I understand.
Because then the question is, but then the question is going to be, how did she get nuts if you know she's allergic?
I didn't know. She got them. I didn't know. Just like Casey from the children, I didn't see it. I was not there. I don't know. I just know she was wheezing. We was leaving the party. Where's the party at? Oh, someplace, undisclosed location. I don't know. I forget. And yeah, that would have been my story. But I don't know. It's like I get why he did it, but also at the same time, just like, ooh. Now let's talk about that scene. Was y'all expecting this to happen at all?
No, I gasped.
No, I didn't. And my son had his iPad on. I was like, oh.
I'm about to say, you subjected my godchild to watch this?
Listen, no, he was on his iPad. He has headphones on, but like, he was like, oh, daddy, you scared me. And I was like, I did not expect that. I was like, that's when I was like, all right, I'm locked in. What you got for me? Bring the rest of
Yeah,
me.
because like I said, like when you watch the promos, like even like the cover art, she's on it. So you're thinking like this, and it does still, but you're thinking like whole time, this is about to be the character that we following throughout the movie. Like it's gonna be about her. You know, this is 33 minutes into the movie. They off this child. And I'm just like, I wasn't.
I said, that's what I said. I said, well,
where are we going? Where's the movie?
Where's this going? Literally, like, where's this going?
Because, like I said, I definitely got creepy kid vibes. I thought Charlie with her little clicking noise she be doing. I thought we got to get that throughout the whole movie. This was gonna be our new grudge. Boom, and they killed her. I said, damn. And then the first time I watched it, it didn't take me until maybe the third time I watched it that I realized they actually showed it.
Yeah, they did.
You literally see this girl head go boom.
That's crazy.
Now, one thing I do like is the scene that happens afterwards is literally how I felt. The way Peter felt, I felt the same way.
He said, okay, I'm just gonna drive. And he just drove.
He can barely formulate words. He can't even look in the damn back seat. Like, you don't hear Charlie choking.
It's like that just happened.
Right. Like, you don't know what the just happened. So I know a lot of people have a problem with the way Peter reacted.
Yeah, I do too. Because
I was like, yo, y'all wow.
That's why you're not going to tell your parents.
I just think he was in complete shock. I could see finally getting home and saying something. But I just think like he was just in such complete shock that he was just like, no, that shit did not happen. Let me just take my ass to bed. Charlie gonna walk around the corner in the morning. This must be some real good ass weed.
See, when they showed him pulling up to the house, I expected him to like start screaming like, Mom! Like, you know what I'm saying? But they didn't. He just like got in the bed. I'm like, bro, that weed was not that strong.
And then, like,
ain't no way. I'm like, that would have blew my whole
like,
high,
why would
bro.
you just let your mother find the child like that? Like
that. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like, when that scene happened, I had to wait for the confirmation to like make sure she was dead. Because I was like, oh, did she just hit her head? Like, dang, maybe she just clocked out. And then I was like, oh, she.
Then they literally show you the head, like on the side of.
With the bugs on it. I said, oh, that's so crazy.
So many things happen that you think is going to happen, but then it don't happen. Depending on the movie, you don't see the head. They would not show you the head.
Or a kid in like that state. Usually they get the demon out of them and they'll show them like going through that, but never like
killed. Right. They was like, you old enough to get casted, you old enough to get killed brutally, and we gonna show it. All right, sign right here. But yeah, so one thing I do want to talk about at this point is the difference between Ellen's funeral and Charlie's funeral. So Ellen's funeral, we see that the entire family, they're just like, I mean, it is what it is. Really, the only person that's upset about this is Charlie. Even Annie asked in the very beginning of the movie, like, should I have been sadder? Like, am I? And Steve, you know, being a therapist, he's just like, I mean, you feel how you feel. You just do your thing. But when Charlie goes, that whole family just is different. Like, you can tell, like, they actually cared about this girl. Like, Annie screaming, this, I don't know what Ari has to be doing. And I know y'all haven't seen Midsommar yet. I don't know what Ari has to be doing to these women, but whatever it is he be doing to these women to get them screaming like this, Jesus, he needs to be an acting coach. Because I was so convinced after a while that like she was really grieving this girl and this girl had died for real. But you can just literally see the stark difference in the tone between the family, between Ellen's funeral and Charlie's. And even that scene where, I don't know if you guys noticed this, when when Annie is crying and Steve is like comforting her, there's lightning outside. If you blink, you don't notice it, but the lightning's blue at first and then it turns white. That's the little payment thing, like coming into the house. And I didn't notice it until this watch. I was like, is it blue? Why is it blue like that? Oh, it's the light. Oh, bet. And then we see Peter is just standing outside, still catatonic, not able to be a part of this grieving process. We don't even know what that confrontation was like. Was there even a confrontation?
Clearly not.
Annie just goes outside, sees the body, and that's it. Like, we never even talked about this. Like, we just know this is what, like, it's just
I could never leave my mother to find the body like that. Like,
Yeah, I was just surprised that they even wrote that. I was like, that was heartless. That was tough.
when Charlie is getting lowered into the ground and the camera goes under the ground with the casket, Annie has a miniature, not a miniature, it's a sculpture, I guess, whatever you want to call it. They show it every now and then, but it's a house or sitting like on top of a pedestal. But if you look, there are two other houses that are like sunken under. I think that this is a metaphor for the three women in the family. They have a lot of metaphors, but I think this is supposed to represent them. So like there's a house all the way under the ground. I'm guessing that has to be Ellen. There's a house on top of that house. I would assume that's Annie. And then there's a house that's like, you can see is going under. Like at some point it's going to be under the ground too. And I guess that would be Charlie, or Charlie could be the one that's in the ground already because she's dead. And Annie could be the one that's slowly descending down into madness. It could be either way, but I know that statue means something. I don't know if Ari Aster is ever going to hear this or anybody in that camp. But if I'm correct, please let me know because it's driving me fucking nuts. Maybe I should put it on Reddit. I got some Reddit links down there for y'all too because I found some interesting ones. As the days go on, Peter is plagued by Charlie's presence. At school, he looks up and sees the rearview mirror actually seeing Charlie's body from that night. And he even experiences his throat closing like his sisters did while smoking under the bleachers with his friends. That evening, Annie goes back to support group, this time for Charlie. But once she pulls up, she decides it's a little bit much and she's not going to attend tonight. However, as she's pulling off, Joan stops her, urging her to come in. Still not wanting to, Joan low-key forces her number onto Annie by sharing her grief after she reveals that she lost her son and grandson in a drowning accident. That night, Annie, not able to sleep, is about to leave to go sleep in the treehouse where Charlie used to sleep. Steve confronts her about it, but not wanting to argue, he just tells her come back if it gets too cold. The next morning, someone places a flyer for a seance on top of the already delivered mail. Meanwhile, Annie is upstairs working on her miniatures when Payman comes shining through the window and knocks over a little bottle of paint on Joan's number. Deciding to go, Annie stays for the tea and also starts spilling some tea, detailing what it was like seeing Charlie's bloody body that morning and that she used to sleepwalk, recounting the incident in which she woke up in Peter's bedroom to find herself, Peter, and Charlie covered in paint thinner with a lit match in her hand. Okay, so time out. First of all, poor Peter. I feel so bad for this kid. Like, first of all, even at the funeral, like, he couldn't even, like, be with his family. Like, he was literally an outsider at his own family's event. And seeing him, like, not even be able to focus in school. Like, there's a scene when he rides his bike back home before Annie leaves to go to support group. And you see him literally have to like muster up the courage to walk in the house. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever done that before. Like before you walk into a building, you just got to sit there and just be like, okay, let's do this. Okay. And I've never felt like his acting in this movie. I know there's parts that people have issues with, but even those parts, I think people got to get over that because I think he did exceptionally well in this movie, just conveying all of those feelings. I don't know how you guys feel about them, but I'm on team.
Off rip, I thought that Johnny was fucking weird and there was something off about her and she needed to be watched.
Her trauma bonding was a little forced.
Very forced.
Yeah, when she tried to like force it upon her, I was like,
oh yeah, my son and my son and my grandson died. I was like, dang, she said she was good.
I was just like, she coming on a little bit strong, but I still didn't see where it was going yet.
I knew she was doing something. I didn't know what it was, but I'm like, she too nice.
Yeah. When Annie verbally has to say Charlie died, when she's like telling Joan what happened, you can tell like it's the first time she ever had to like actually say it out her mouth. And that's what Tony is so good. Oh my God. I'm a fangirl over Tony. But it's like when she's saying it, she's like, my daughter like, damn, like this is actually real. Like she really not here. It's the first time she ever had to mention it. let's talk about Steve, because I feel like Steve went through so fucking much.
Man,
He talks about
listen,
it.
his lines were short and brief. He's like, all right, you want to go sleep in there? Make sure it's warm. All right, come back. And then even when like he had finally like snapped, it was so lax. He was like, well, dinner's on the table. Shit, you can do that how you want to do. And then he just like stepped off. And I was like, damn, I feel bad, man.
I'm glad you agree with me, because there are some people I talk to and they think like he was more of a weak character because he really didn't do too much. But I'm like, there wasn't too much that he could do. And
Right.
even in the grand script that I told you it was like 3 hour cut, they gave him a lot more to
3
do.
hours.
As girl, he has confrontation with Annie, he has conversations with Peter, he has longer conversations with Charlie. But I'm kind of glad they cut that all out though, because if you cutting them out, in my opinion, in the movie that we get, he seems like the Libra, me. He seems like the Libra of the group that just wants to keep everybody on a level playing ground. The
Yeah.
cuts where they give him more to do makes him a lot more assertive. And it just doesn't hit the same. That's all I can say. It just doesn't do what it's supposed to do. That you would think you would want, but
I was Team Steve. I was Lord.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's just me, but as soon as I seen that rug in front of Joni's door, I would have been like, and she even said, she was like, my mom makes rugs like these. And Joan is like, oh, that's funny. I would have been like, where you get this rug from?
She was too aloof for me. Like,
I would have been like, where you get this from?
Because here's the other thing too. My nosy ass, like I said, would have went through all them little books that my mom that was my mom's. So I would have been knew that she knew my mother, because I already would have seen her picture and all the stuff, because I would have looked through it.
And they did try to hint off the photo book the first time she opened up the book. But she just breezed past it, but they like paused on it for like an extra 3
Right.
seconds.
And she just
so
ignored it right before she sees her mom in the office. She just was like, oh, okay. I don't all right. She wrote me a letter. We just gonna close this up. But this is also where when, you know, Annie is trauma bonding with Joan and Joan gives her some tea, we see the same black herb that was in Charlie's bottle on Annie's finger. And me, I probably wouldn't have thought twice about it, because sometimes I have overboiled my tea and the bag is busted and I just have to deal with it. So I just would be like, oh, well, this bitch don't know how to make tea.
Where I've actually busted tea bags on accident by like pouring the hot water in the thing and then the shit bust.
It's the worst. And it's like, I don't want to waste this, but also I don't have a strainer anymore. So what we gonna do? I guess we just don't have to take tiny sips so I don't get none in my mouth or anything. That night, Steve walks into Annie's office to let her know dinner is ready when he sees what she's currently working on. A neutral view of the car accident, as Annie calls it. Steve, very concerned about Peter's feelings and his own, ask her, why would she even make something like that? But Annie doesn't seem to see anything wrong with it. Okay, let's stop right there. I understand that this is how she copes with things. Because as you see, like literally all of the miniatures that I'm assuming is for this art gallery have something to do with her and her family. Like you see the hospice with her mom laying in the bed and the doctor. You see the little breastfeeding scene. You see that one where she moves the grandma around and she's like watching her and Steve sleep. Then, of course, like this car accident one. And I'm just like, girl, this is hella detailed for you to not have been there.
Yeah, it was the exact image. And then I was like, this one definitely ain't like the other ones. Like, you had another level.
I mean, yeah, you did see your kids that day and you did see Charlie after. So, yeah, you did know what she had on and you know what Peter had on. So I'm guessing Peter must have had told her what happened, because that's the only way you would have like been able to do that. And I mean, it is her car. So, I mean, I guess it does make sense to why it's so accurate, but it's like hella accurate.
She had the splatter on the pole.
This was the model they used before they shot the scene. They was like, okay, so it's supposed to look like this, just like this miniature. So that's what we're doing out here today. Make that work. Poor Steve. I just want to know what he thought. Like, nobody thought about Steve, like what he was gonna think seeing his.
Nobody ever thinks about the man.
They didn't even. I was like, what was his reaction? He was just. I was like, man, he really holding it together. At least trying to for everybody else.
Like, you see him show a little more emotion, but he's just like, girl, like,
I thought he was gonna get a pass because he was like really nice to Charlie too.
This poor Steve. Like, I don't know who I feel the worst for. Like, I think I really feel the worst for Steve because he married into this shit and he had no idea what was coming. Poor guy.
None.
Following this, at the dinner table, Peter is trying to start some conversation while Annie, on the other hand, is acting as you would when you got to be around somebody you rather not be around and your bones are a little petty. Peter, catching this shade, pokes the bear, and boy, does the bear attack. Annie finally explodes, unleashing a wrath that a small part wasn't even meant for Peter, but he got all of that today. She lists how Peter never apologized despite knowing he didn't mean to kill his sister, and because he didn't apologize, she can't find it in herself to forgive him, especially when they could have grown from this. Once she's done, Peter obviously hasn't had enough and delivers another blow, blaming Annie for forcing Charlie to go to the party when she didn't even want to go in the first place. About to start another round, and you could see her face. She was about to fuck his life up.
But he had a point though.
But
she actually looked like she was about to cry.
Because she knew it.
She knew she was guilty. She looked like she was about to cry. I don't think she was about to come back.
Like, and what about
guilty,
you?
Though, because I feel like I said, Peter is the one that started it. He lied and was like, this is a school barbecue. I honestly think that Annie really just wanted Charlie to get some social interaction with some other kids.
I don't think she wanted that. I think she wanted to get the kids out the house. Like, I don't think she,
because she knew what he was
I don't
doing.
think she wanted Charlie to have social interactions. She was just like, oh, you leaving? Cool, take her too. I want some alone time.
Yeah, it was like that. It was like that unsaid agreement. All right, if you want my car and go to a party, you're gonna bring your sister. So what you gonna do?
Let us know. Do you think that this was I need some alone time, or do you think that Annie wanted Charlie to get some social interaction? If you are on,
because she seemed like she don't even like her kids.
Let me finish my pitch. If you are on Spotify now has polls and reviews. So this poll will be at the bottom of the Spotify episode. For everybody else who's not listening on Spotify, you can just generally answer the question on our Twitter or any of our other socials. Now, Janae was saying that you say
she doesn't. It seemed like she don't really like her kids. Like it
love them.
Yeah, can we talk about the paint?
That's why I'm like, she was trying to save them. Like, we ain't got to that scene yet, but we could definitely talk about that. Like, she was trying to baby.
Her interaction with her kids up to this point in the movie.
I mean, it was too many deaths in what, a 4-week span?
Yeah, and then like it don't seem like she really liked them for real.
Not even from the scene of her with Charlie. Like, I got, if anything, Peter is the kid that be testing her fucking patience, and she loved him, but that little motherfucker,
because she tried to kill them.
She was not trying to kill him. She was trying to save him.
To her.
So
to him, yeah. My mother's trying to kill me.
They never got to talk about it. That's why she got this built up resentment, because they won't listen to her. But she don't even know why she did it. I mean, I know we jumping ahead, but she don't need, she doesn't even know why she did that. Like, she was like, I didn't mean to do it, but she's telling them, like,
in her dream, she even said, I didn't even want y'all. FTK, fuck these kids.
Because she knew she ain't know, but she knew something was gonna happen. She knew her mama was on that bullshit from what she did with her brother and her daddy. She was just like, nothing.
So like I said, I don't think she really liked her kids for real. She wanted her alone time. She sent the sister out because she was like, oh, cool, you leaving too? One less child for me to have to deal with. I got some deadlines I got to get done, so get out the house so I can do what I got to do. And now she feel guilty because her son told her about herself. And she looked like she was about to cry. She didn't look like she was about to give him a piece of her mind. She looked like her ass was about to cry.
Well, survivors, let us know what you feel, because obviously we're not going to go nowhere with this. We're going to keep going in circles. But yes, there's blaming on both ends. But I
I also want to say that I've seen that scene before the movie. I don't even know how I saw that scene.
Because it's the best scene in the movie. That's why.
Like, I don't know what I was watching, if it was a highlight video or something. I don't know. But when she started going off, I was like, I've seen
Won
this
her
before.
awards in that movie. Like,
She played her part. For a horror movie, she
yes,
acted.
they should have brought the wheelbarrow with the awards and been like, bitch, this is yours. Here you go.
She was like, but no, you just had to do it. Fuck it all up. I was like,
And all I get is that fucking face on your face. And what a waste. If we could have just, we could have grown from this. Like, oh my, I know if I like stop playing, I know that monologue word for word. Cause it is just, I got chills. I got goosebumps on my legs just talking about it. I just be like, girl, I felt like I was in the dinner and I wasn't supposed to be there and I needed to leave. Right after this happens, Peter and Steve, they try, but the night is ruined. Can't nobody eat no more. It's just over. The next day, Annie runs into Joan at the craft store. Joan goes on telling Annie about her experience with the medium who taught her how to contact her deceased ones. And of course, Annie doesn't believe this, but she does go to her house and Joan demonstrates the seance that actually works.
Again, she is so fucking
Okey-doke.
performative. Like all this extra shit that you trying to sell to me in the parking lot, it was too much. She was really laying it.
She was too
thick.
gullible.
She was laying it on thick, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
She's very adamant. Again, same way, like I said, just same way she was adamant about her trauma. She was very adamant. No, come on, you're gonna just.
I'd be like,
come
no,
on.
get the fuck away from me. You're weird.
Right. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I'd have been like, I actually got something to do at home. But I think because Annie, one, they trauma bonded. Two, Annie probably wants to be anywhere other than her house. And even though she probably don't want to be doing this either, she just like, you know what, let me just, this is what happens when you make new friends, I guess. So Annie spooked, especially after something blows in her face and rushes to leave. Joan manages to catch her, giving her everything she needs to perform the seance, telling her she needs her entire family in the room when she does it. On the way home, Annie hears Charlie clicking from the back seat, but of course, Charlie is not there. All right, first of all, Joan had all the goddamn supplies in the back seat, even though she already said like she had done this. She had all like the chalkboard was in the back seat, the cup, like all that stuff is right there in the back. They at the craft store, right there. You didn't see any of that.
That's true.
So then another part that kind of it got me a little bit, and got me, I mean, laughed when Louis starts. Actually, this is payment. So let's put this out in the air. Joan is lying.
Duh.
And even if she isn't lying, they probably tried to put payment in her son and grandson, and that shit ain't work. And that's how they drowned. That's what I think. And they was like, oh, well, Ellen.
That's why he's probably just chilling in Charlie for a little bit and was like, once that accidental death happened, he's like, I need
we gotta figure something out. All right, Joan, your two didn't work. We're coming back to this one. All right, let's go. So this is payment that's like writing on the chalkboard. Joni is like all into it. She's playing her role. And then Annie was like, can we stop? We gotta stop. And Joni is like, what?
And exactly. That tripped me out
too.
I was like,
that tripped me out. I was like, that was a funny moment. She was like,
hold up, bitch. I see me connected with my dead grandson. Wait a minute.
She's like, wait, hold on. I'll be right back.
When Joan was like, you didn't kill her. You can contact her. I'm like, girl, don't tell me nothing else, because you done did too much today. The part when she looked under the table, I would have did that too. She was like, how the fuck is you? No, this is too much. But seeing is believing, because later on that night, Annie has a nightmare where she finds a trail of ants leading to Peter's room. She finds Peter laid on the bed covered in ants. Terrified, she hears Peter's voice ask, what is she doing? Snapping out of her trance, seemingly. Claiming she's sleepwalking, Peter continues to ask Annie why she's afraid of him. This leads to Annie telling Peter that she never wanted to be his mom and did everything she could to have a miscarriage. During this intense back and forth, Peter and Annie become doused in lighter fluid as a match can be heard off screen, burning the entire scene, waking Annie up from the heated nightmare. Moments later, Annie can be heard reciting the words Joan gave her and then convinces her family to attempt the seance. The seance works a little too well, with objects beginning to move and break. And Charlie, or, who we think we hear is Charlie, is possessing Annie, terrifying Peter until Steve douses her with water. Annie awakens from the trance, unaware of anything that just happened. Ending the night, we see lift-touch pandemonium on the wall. Okay, now let's talk about this nightmare because we had already been talking about it a little bit. Okay, it's supposed to make us think that she was sleepwalking, but we find out that this is actually a nightmare. And when it happens, I feel like, in your dreams, like you're not, unless you're a lucid dreamer, you're not really just in control of what's going on. When she tells Peter she never wanted to be his mom, she immediately, it felt like she never wanted that secret to get out. Like she didn't even was like, well, who the fuck said that? Oh, wow, that was me. Oh no. But this whole entire scene, like I said earlier, I feel like she was trying to save her kids. Now we understand why the fuck she had them doused in paint thinner, because her fucking mom was crazy. And she was like, my mama not getting my kids, so I got to take them out this world before she do. That's what I feel. And that's love. Shoot, if my mama knows something bad coming, girl, you better take care of me before somebody else do it in the worst way. I'm cool with.
Yeah, I didn't.
And she was taking her, and she was doused in paint thinner too. So it wasn't like she was just gonna kill her.
She's gonna take all of them.
She was gonna take all of them out and leave Steve. Now that would have been fucked up for Steve.
Steve was gonna go about his business.
He was, but so that's why I'm just like, I don't know, Nay. I think she loved them kids. I think she just couldn't, it wasn't too much she could do. Also, this is where Peter starts with his crying. And I know a lot of people do not like his crying, but I just want to say, nobody sounds good crying. I think everybody sounds idiotic when they cry. So his crying, it didn't bother me too much. I just feel like it kind of progressed. Like you can tell the different cries, and people got different cries. Like if I was super hysterical, I probably sound like a banshee. I'm sure. I don't know. I haven't heard myself in that element yet, but I'm sure it didn't bother me too much. You guys?
I sound like Toni Collette when I cry.
Mm-hmm.
When it's that real, true, guttural cry when I be in here by myself.
Oh, Jesus.
I know my neighbors be like, what the hell is going on over there?
This girl be talking about horror movies. She be listening to shit, and now she's just yelling and crying. What the fuck? You need to call some balloons dancing by her door and shit. Like, just Jesus.
Bruh.
Yeah, that's wild. That's crazy.
Like, it be some weird shit happening over here. Like, should we upload that video to Patreon or the balloons outside my door?
I feel like weird stuff like that only happen because you got a Ring camera. It only happened to people with Ring
And I
cameras.
have a Ring camera. I catch some stuff, but not like she be doing. Like,
my note says Annie is a shit show, but I think that happens before she goes to Joni's house. I don't remember why I said she was a shit show, but I said she was a shit show.
I mean, she was stressed from the get-go. From the beginning of the movie, she never had
no peace. Okay, this movie just went.
It just kept getting worse for her. And it progressed over a few weeks.
Mm-hmm. Shit show.
I just think the whole scene where Annie gets completely possessed, because you hear a growl at first. You hear a growl, and then you hear Charlie's voice coming out, and Charlie's like, I'm scared. First of all, Charlie was probably in heaven or wherever the fuck she was, and now she back here, and she's like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, Peter, what the fuck is my mom? Why are you screaming? What the fuck is happening? And I know Steve was just sitting there because he even looked under the table. He was like, how the fuck is she doing? No, absolutely not. This is not what we doing today.
Nah, he needed to pull that plug because she was doing too much.
I mean, she was trying to show him So I got to make you a believer. I didn't believe it either. I did it earlier. Peter, unable to sleep through the night, is now in class, again, barely paying attention, but rightfully so. He sees a light on the ground, which looks like it can be reflecting off keys or a mirror until it bounces off the ground and travels through the room. This brings his attention to his reflection in the glass cabinet that's smiling at him, even though he is not smiling. Hearing Charlie's clicking, he freaks out and runs out of the classroom. He calls his dad to tell him that Charlie's vengeful spirit is after him, and Steve calls Annie, telling her Peter called him panicked, but Annie, lost in her thoughts, initially thinks it was Charlie. Frustrated, Steve chews her out a bit and hangs up on her, which, guys, I'm telling you now, do not ever hang up on a woman. Just don't do it. Of course.
He thought she was crazy. He was right to hang up on her because now you're endangering my child.
Of course, this pisses off Annie, as she expresses in her voicemail to him. The frustration boils as the art gallery calls, leaving a message. And while the message continues, Annie, she has a little slip up, breaks one of her miniature chairs, and this just sets her off the goddamn deep end. And she fucks up her entire studio, even though we only see 4 seconds of it. She just fucks that. Like she said, fuck a dead line. I'm just tearing all this. All this can go.
This is why I said she was a shit show.
She knew she was going down. She knew she was dead. She knew she was going down.
He was like, no, this is just too, you know what? I'll build another set. Maybe. I do like that the guy calling from the art gallery is actually Ari Aster. It's him just talking to her. But I feel so bad for Peter because he's just going through it in class. Like, it's a blue light following me now. I'm seeing niggas smiling at me and ain't shit funny. What the fuck is happening? What is going on? Oh, it's too much.
Yeah, we wasn't for him.
He couldn't.
We was not for him.
That poor guy. I'm just like, oh, poor thing. That night, Steve is getting ready to sleep on the couch, giving himself a few extra pills before lying down. Peter is already in bed when he sees Charlie in the corner, but as she clicks, her head rolls off her shoulders, turning into a ball. Sitting up, a pair of hands come from behind Peter's headboard, pulling him into the wall. During this, Annie hears scribbling and finds Charlie's sketch pad in her room on her bed, just drawing on its own. As she gets closer, she can see all of the pictures are of Peter crying with his eyes crossed out. Finally hearing Peter, Annie goes in to check on him, and he is 100% certain that it was her trying to pull his head into the wall. Listening to him, Annie tells him to not tell his dad what he just told her. Annie, suspecting that Charlie's spirit has become malevolent, throws Charlie's sketchbook into the fireplace. But as she does, her sleeve starts to catch on fire, showing that she is connected to the book somehow. She retrieves it and starts to stump it out and immediately heads to Joan's apartment for some advice, because what the fuck is happening, Joan? You did not say this shit was going to happen. But of course, Joan is nowhere to be found, and instead, we, the audience, are shown an empty apartment with the symbol of Payman, along with a shrine with Peter's picture in the middle, again, eyes crossed out, and Charlie's miniatures with a figure and some other figures bowing to it, revealing that Joan is up to no goddamn good.
And then I put in my notes, confirmation. I knew something was off about that bitch.
Again, I gotta say, poor Steve. He was like, I just want to get a good night's sleep. I'm gonna take some more of these pills. At first, I thought he was gonna try to unalive himself, and I was like, damn, that's gonna be way too much. Please don't do this. Not tonight. At least, like, that's a lot.
Like, I think I knew something was up with her. Like I said, she was just very forceful from when she made herself known. And then because, like you said, the first time she was revealed, she was like a background character, so you never paid attention. So her being introduced initially into the movie, like a little ways in, kind of made it seem like, okay, she's here for something else. But once she started to piece together and the photos, and I was like, okay, this is all starting to come to.
It starts coming together for Annie too, because she starts putting 2 and 2 together, finally looking down and just realizing that obviously her mom had to have made this mat, because who else makes mats like these? Going back home, going through her mother's possessions, she finds the photo album and looks through it, and it links Joan to Ellen.
See, if she hadn't been so weird about her mom and her mother's death, she would have been looked at all that shit and she wouldn't have got.
But I'm not gonna hold you. If I'm not fucking with you, I'm not about to look through your stuff. I'm about to pack your stuff up in these boxes and they gonna sit there. Like, only reason I'm not getting rid of them is because it was your belongings and they about to go in this attic. But I'm definitely about to pack this shit up if I ain't fuck with you. Now, if it was somebody I messed with, then yes, I'm gonna be looking at this stuff, reminiscing, and then probably learning some new stuff. But if I ain't fuck with you, sis, like, the only reason you stayed here was because I was all you had anyway. It was either this or hospice, and you couldn't stay in hospice. You had to come here. So I can understand why she ain't look at it.
I get it, but my personality, I'm trying to figure out why the fuck you was the way that you was. So this will give me a little insight.
True, especially with her family's back.
Exactly.
She also finds a book with information about a demon named Payman, who we've been talking about this whole time, who will inhabit anyone but wishes to inhabit the body of a male host. She also learns that her mother used her family as a sacrifice, and finally, it's all coming together. Steve is composing an email to Dr. Mason concerned Annie may need an appointment because, like Johnny said, it's just a fucking shit show. When an email from the cemetery comes through with pictures of Ellen's desecrated grave, showing that the grave has been completely dug up. But when Annie is looking through the photo album, I do want to say that I feel like production did a really good job of making these photos look real. Yeah. Like, you know, usually when you see like photos in a horror movie and it's supposed to be like family photos, you can tell they like took those photos like maybe a week before they started shooting. Everybody's like the same age, but these photos legit look old.
They had that like reddish color.
They have like, yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And even like just finding out all this shit about your mom, because even when we look at, I don't know if it was Annie's rug or Charles' rug that has the payment symbols on it from the necklace. Like, it's just two just sitting right there. So she's just like, now, wait a minute. And I think I like that when we see Joan, we never see her in like the payment symbol, because I feel like that would have been way too much. Like, had she had the necklace, or if that little box was open while Annie was there and she was able to see that, I thought that would have been like way too much before like she actually finds out what's going on. But this is what we're talking about. This is why this is in this theme for this month, because Ellen, what the fuck? Why did you do this to your family? But anyway, in the attic, earlier, we didn't mention this, but earlier Steve mentions that something is stinking up the house and no one can figure out what it is. What it ends up being is Ellen's decapitated body that Annie finds with the cult symbol, the one that we were just talking about throughout the whole movie, on the wall written in blood. At school, Peter sits outside eating lunch when he sees Joan, of course he doesn't know who she is, across the street, just as Charlie saw that lady across the street earlier in the movie, but it wasn't Joan, it was someone else. This time, Joan is screaming at Peter to exit his body, but no one else seems to see this. Later in class, Peter is just losing it. Hearing clicking in the works when he finally just breaks, lifts his arm in the air in the same style as the payment staff, getting the attention of his teacher, you know, trying to figure out what's going on. He seems to be having a seizure or some type of episode, but Peter breaks and slams his head against his desk, breaking his nose. Annie, occupied with discovering the body, misses the school's phone call, prompting them to call Steve, who does answer and goes to pick up Peter. On their way home, Steve finally breaks down. I'm just like, and this is why I like that they took all those other scenes out, because it's just like everybody got a breaking point, y'all. And this was because he looked at his son in that backseat with that broken nose and was just like, this is too fucking much. My son done already called me a few days ago talking about his spirits after him. My wife is fucking going nuts at home. My daughter just died. This is too much. Like, I know I'm a therapist. I'm supposed to have it together, but bitch, I don't. So like, who is checking? Like,
code red.
I know, exactly. Annie meets them outside, exclaiming about what she saw, but Steve only stares ahead up the driveway. Annie finally notices Peter in the back seat, learning that he broke his nose earlier. And after taking him to bed, Annie shows Steve her mother's body, sketchbook, and the cult symbol written in blood. Now thinking Annie herself is responsible for all of this, being the reason, she was always talking about going to the movies and doing this, Steve is completely done. Annie begs Steve to burn the sketchbook so she can sacrifice herself to stop the haunting, but Steve decides he's not going to do this and she needs to get help. Dr. Mason is ready to take you for an appointment. Let's go do it. Annie, over him not listening to her, snatches the sketchbook, throws it into the fireplace, and Steve bursts into flames, leaving Annie completely mortified until Payman jumps into her body, possessing her on sight. Let's stop right there.
Yeah, I got a question. So why did he catch on fire?
I'm glad you asked that. And I was hoping one of y'all was going to ask me that because I love explaining this. Okay, so remember earlier, I told y'all to keep a tab that Payman is the god of mischief. Payman likes to play fucking games, okay? So because Steve is not a part of the bloodline, they don't need him for anything. True, when we seen it earlier, Annie was like on fire and on burning. This is making her think that she was attached to it. But if Steve had thrown it in, I still think Steve would have burned because he just would have been like, oh, it's the person that throws it in the fire. So yes, I'm going to burn you. But when Annie threw it in, Payman was like, no, sis, we still need you to do more. Let's burn Steve. Because if you take Steve away, you don't have anybody for Peter to have in his corner. You only leave Peter with Annie, and Peter and Annie don't connect with each other. So Payman fucking around, basically, is what it is.
Got it.
I laughed at Peter when he was all fucked up in the classroom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I laughed. I was like, the fuck? It was funny. And I know I wasn't supposed to be funny.
When he got that shit was hilarious. When he was just stuck.
Y'all want to hear something wild? So you know how some people can dislocate body parts? He can dislocate his jaw, and he dislocated his jaw for that scene.
That's why I got the drool.
Yeah, they taped his eye back. He dislocated his jaw, and his jaw. And like I said, his hand, if you pay attention to his hand, I'm trying not to do it because I don't know. His hand is in the same position that the Payman staff is in, that Payman's holding on his camel. It's the whole thing. But I do want to point this out because nobody ever talks about this. I've listened to so many podcasts. I've listened to watch so many YouTube videos. Nobody ever talks about the boy that's recording this whole thing in the classroom. Y'all didn't see that? Nobody's.
Nah, I didn't peep that.
I was too busy laughing.
I think everybody's so busy paying attention to Peter that it's a shot of the entire class, and Peter's on the left side of our screen, freaking out still, and all the kids are to the right. There's a boy in a blue shirt standing up with his phone like this. It's recording the whole thing, and nobody ever talks about it. Well, D180 is the first one to do it.
I'm sorry, I can't help it, but I keep laughing at that scene. It was funny to me, and he just started fucking his face up on the desk, and I was just laughing what the.
And I know I'm like, damn, I know how hard them school desks
hard as fuck. Okay. Now I will say this. I do laugh at his friend. Cause first, this is why I cuss my friends out on a regular. Cause he gonna look at him and he really said, he was like, hey Peter, what are you doing? What the fuck?
What does it look like? What do you see with your eye?
Do it look like I can actually speak to you right now? I'm being possessed right now. Thank you. It was just too fucking much. That whole scene. And they do, I think they do show you a little clip of that in the trailer. But when you see the full scene play out, I'm just like, oh no, I wasn't prepared. This poor child just fucking going through it. So I also want to talk about, I do especially love how this movie subverts your expectation. When Annie brought Steve to go look in the attic, did you guys expect for the body not to be there and her just look crazy?
Yeah, I didn't think the body was.
For a split second, until I saw the CGI
Yeah.
fly in Steve's face when he opened
The
the
attic.
the
Mhm.
attic. When I seen it, I said, "Oh, it's still
Yeah,
here."
and that's what I'm saying, because in any other movie, the cult somehow would have cleaned up that whole scene. It would have been no flies, and he would have been up there and been like, "What body are you talking about? See your ass."
You're crazy. Yeah.
And I like that they left it there. So now Steve, like, did you dig out the damn body? What are you doing? Like, who is that? And he, first of all, it was him. Like, who is that up there? Like,
Yeah, no
that's
bull.
my mom. Like, got the same dress on and everything. Like,
Because was that right? That was right before he almost pressed the send button on the email.
so
right?
he gets the email that the grave was desecrated.
Phone call.
This is when he finds that out, like after that happens.
Yeah, but I thought he was writing like her doctor or something,
Yeah.
like how she was like going
He was
crazy.
writing her. He was writing that email, and he was about to send it, but that's when another email comes in showing the grave, and then that's when. So he never fully makes the appointment, but it was about to be there. And I mean, he's a therapist himself, and you know, there's a backstory in anything that I forget to say, survivors. It's not that I don't know, so you don't have to beat me up like y'all be doing. It's just that everybody knows this, so I don't have to say it. But since John and Shaquille have not seen this movie, I feel obligated to tell them everything. So basically, in that backstory of things I told you that Ari Aster wrote about all the characters, Annie and Steve met because she was originally Steve's patient. And because, you know, you can't date your patients, they stopped being patients.
Child, wasn't this a fucking movie that we don't watch that I liked? What was the name of that movie?
Okay, now that makes a different story.
What you talking about, John Day? And I can't think of it, but I know what you're talking about.
My movie with them in the woods. It's a fucking movie.
Ruin Me?
Yes, there we go. Couldn't think of the name. But basically, they was patient and whatever, and you see what happened to him.
Yeah.
He didn't try to kill her ass.
Well, Steve wasn't on that. Anyway, no. Okay. But like I was saying, I just like that this movie does not do what you think it's going to do. Just like with those mirror scares we talked about earlier, they could have easily put a CGI ghost in the mirror or something. I'm just glad they don't do that. But we move. Peter awakens to a strangely dark house. First of all, timeout. I hate when I take a nap and it's like at that point where it's about to sunset, but it was bright when I went to sleep and I wake up and it's completely dark in my house. That freaks me out more than anything, because as much as I love horror movies, I tell y'all all the time, I'm scared of the dark. I don't play with that shit. No. And so this already got me when he woke up in the dark. Once he wakes up and sits up, his mom is hanging out in the corner of the room, unknown to him. Peter doesn't notice her swimming out the room as he gets up to go look for his parents. When he comes downstairs, he hears a loud clanging noise somewhere in the house. Details on that later. He finds his father's body and is completely shook. Again, Annie is up on the ceiling watching him. Hearing another click, he turns and sees the guy who was smiling at Charlie at the funeral, but this time he's butt-ass naked and still smiling. The guy slightly turns towards the corner where Annie is now hiding and dashes out the corner, chasing Peter into the attic, now decorated with candles and cult imagery. It's almost like that last scene in Carrie when Margaret White had all them damn candles around the house. How that shit didn't catch on fire, I don't know, but it looks like that. Soon enough, Annie is on all fours. Yes, this girl is like on the ceiling, banging her head on the attic door as Peter screams for his mommy to stop. Walking away from the door, a cult member is hiding behind him. I don't know if y'all saw the cult member that's like behind the mannequin.
Saw that.
As he discovers another shrine where Ellen's body previously was, but instead it's a picture of him with the eyes crossed out. Thinking this has to be some type of fucking dream, he tries to wake himself up, but then hears squishing noises. Let's stop right here. I love this scene. Did y'all notice her in that corner the first time? Yeah. It took me a second. The first
I was trying to figure out why these naked people around. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, they were supposed to wear red cloaks originally, but Ari Aster was like, if I put them in red cloaks, that's going to be more mysterious. I want this cult to be out in the open as possible. Make them naked.
Okay, because like, I was wondering, because it was like that split second cut screen, right? From I guess that light today, and then it like flashed, and because as I was watching the movie, I kept like rewinding like certain parts that were like real quick. And I was like, where did like 15 butt-ass naked people come from and why are they standing outside? And I was like, are these spirits or real people for a second?
And it's crazy because like in that scene, because the movie does that so much where it has a daylight scene or it has like a scene of somebody standing in one spot and else.
Yeah, it's like a light flicker. Yeah.
And so at this point in the movie, you're not expecting to see 15 motherfuckers standing outside the house.
I did not.
And at first, when you see it, if you missed it, it's because they look like the trees. Like when you think about it, because you only see one half of them. And then I'm like, I just want to see a different version of this movie from like the cult's view. Like, did somebody show up like Justin? It was like, bitch, get naked. Like, what are you doing?
It was just so creepy.
Purest
he
form.
was standing in the doorway naked, smiling. I really thought this was about to go left because why the fuck are you standing in the doorway naked with your dick out, smiling at me?
He was like, "This is my God. I'm being.
This is weird.
I'm worshiping you now." I also like going back to when Peter comes downstairs and we just hear like that clanging noise. Well, I mean, we already in spoiler territory, but that's actually Annie pulling the piano wire that she's gonna use later. I don't know if y'all even know what I'm talking about. But Peter walks downstairs and it's just like this big ass clanging. He just looked like, what the fuck was that? And you never find out what it is, but it was her pulling the piano wire. Also, like, because people don't pay attention, and people was like, okay, but I would have smelt my dad's burning body. Well, bitch, his nose is broken, so he can't smell shit. So now,
oh yeah,
that's why this movie is so smart because I would have smelled burnt human flesh all through that damn. That house probably smells terrible, but he can't smell anything because his nose is broke.
The amount of therapy that child would need if he didn't get possessed.
Listen. So then I also like that the naked guy signals him to look at Annie because when you first see the naked guy, he's like face like this. And then the second time you see him, he's like just slightly like this. And Annie's just like right there. There's no musical sting. Like once again, like the music throughout this entire movie, again, getting goosebumps. There's like this like, and it goes like,
okay, so I had to keep pausing my TV because you know that my neighbors are rude and they just be having the music blasting all the time. So I had to keep pausing the TV because I'm thinking, damn, are they blasting music? What is this bass? But then like every time I paused it, it would go away and I was like, oh, that's the movie.
And I like because it kind of like lets you know that shit was going down because this one part, I know I wrote it in here somewhere, but it's one part where the music starts and it does not stop. I think it goes all the way to the end of the movie. I want to say, I feel like I wrote it in my notes, and if I see it, I'll bring it up, but I can't remember. But this is also where I like that Peter's cries. At first, he's like, Mom, stop. Like, Mom, what are you doing? And he just starts saying, Mommy, like, this nigga is truly scared. Like, I would be fucking scared too if Andre was fucking knocking her head on the attic wall. I'm like, girl, like, why are you?
Girl, I laughed at that part.
Her head was going so fast.
That's why it was so funny. I was just like, what the fuck?
It looked so real. Like, I'm just like, this is a lot. This is too much. Peter stares terrifyingly as he sees his mom staring back at him as she levitates and beheads herself with a piano wire. As naked coven members look on, Peter just over it completely throws himself out the window. And as he lies on the ground, a light enters his body as a shadow passes by. To clear it up for some, no, Peter did not die from the fall because if he died, Payman wouldn't be able to possess him. And I say this because Annie's brother, when he unalived himself, if this was the case, Payman just could have took his body over and we wouldn't even have this movie. So no, Peter is not dead. He also falls in mud. He's fine. He's just possessed now. Walking past Maxie's dead body, which is the dog. I forgot to mention the dog. We seen him in the very first scene, but yes, the dog dies. He follows Annie's headless, levitating corpse into Charlie's treehouse, where Charlie's crowned, severed head rests atop a life-size mannequin. Joan and other coven members and the headless corpses of Annie and Ellen bowing to it. Peter looks around the illuminated treehouse, dazed with slight confusion, more than he's actually, kind of scared, after seeing a photo of his grandmother with a frame that says Queen Leigh, confirming that she is, in fact, married to Payman. Joan stands up, addressing him, revealing that this is actually Charlie, not Peter. Joan continues to swear an oath to Charlie as Payman, stating that he has been liberated from his female host. And with that, Joan crowns Charlie Payman as the headless bodies of Annie and Lee turn to face Charlie Payman as the cult voice is amplified. Because first of all, it's only like 8 mofos in there with their booty holes in the air. But when you hear them start to say "Hail Payman," it sounds like it's like hundreds of voices, praising their demon king who is now free to rule over them. All right.
The naked people in the corner took me out. Like, I laughed when they were just like, "Hi," and he jumped out the window.
But that's the lady that Charlie saw. That's the same.
But I'm saying it was funny. I laughed because they were just like, "Hey," he's like, "Ah," and jumps out the window. I had to keep rewinding it because it was funny.
I'll say, like, I seen when they first, like, because they always kind of like glance at what's gonna come next, so they kind of like put like a quick like little like reference to the window, and I was like, he only got one way out of here, and that's through that window. And I didn't really think he was actually gonna run through the window. So when he hit the ground, I'm like, oh damn, like I'm like, damn, he just died like that. And then I said, nope. They possessed.
Yeah, I definitely did not think he was going to jump out that window, but I'm like, and that's the thing, you're always screaming at horror characters. Like, I would have been up and out that window. And when he did it, I was like, oh shit, he really went up the window.
So, the only thing I didn't like though was the floating head to the treehouse. I was like, where did the floating come from?
I think that, okay, so Payman, the way Payman gets out of a body is through beheading. So Ellen got beheaded, Payman got out that way. And Payman was already in Charlie, but to fully get out, he had to get out of Ellen and was in Charlie. Then Charlie got beheaded. Payman got out and was dancing around and was trying to make somebody between Peter and Annie. So that's why it's causing all this shit. Trying to make somebody between Peter and Annie more vulnerable so he can like get inside of them, because that's the only way he can get in. So the way he got inside of Annie was when Steve burned up, because at that point her whole world was fucked up. So that's why you see that light like come over her and her face drops from mortified to just possessed. Then once Annie beheads herself, first of all, okay, I will say this. When she was sawing herself, when she started going faster, that kind of...
Yeah, because I said, did he lock her out of there? How did she get in?
Now, that's Payman. That's not Annie no more.
Yeah, true. I'm like, my man just teleported.
Yeah, she teleported up there. So when she started beheading herself, because when Peter jumps out the window, you hear the sawing get faster, and you just hear Annie's head drop. And Payman is carrying the body to the treehouse to let Peter know that he's supposed to go in there. Oh. So almost, you know how Chucky can like divide his soul and be in different bodies? Payman can do this too, apparently. But this whole last scene gives me chills. I just do not like... I think what it is like I said, when Peter goes into the treehouse, he seems like, well, okay, now we know this is Charlie Payman. So when Charlie Payman gets to the treehouse, it seems like that mission complete moment. And from what I read about Payman, when Payman arrives, you hear bells, he's accompanied by a band, and you hear horns and bells. And the music reflects that. And when Joan is like, you are Payman, you just see like his face is like, oh shit, we pulled this off. Like we did this. Like I'm really in this bitch. I'm finna, damn, y'all did it. I'm about to reward y'all. Like this is really happening. But I think that's like the most fucked up part about it. Cause this whole family got fucked up for a demon. And this is my thing. Who's getting the money? Who's getting the riches? We all did.
The cult.
Yeah. The cult. Who taking care of this boy?
Like this. You told me if I brought you into this world, I was supposed to reap the riches. Am I reaping the riches in hell? Because
Grandma set them up. Grandma knew exactly what was going to happen to her family. That's why she apologized in that note
This
to
is
her
why
daughter.
she's wild, and this is why the fuck she's on this list, because she is the wildest one out of all of them. Because, girl, like, you couldn't just, like, you ain't got no old money. You white. You ain't got no old money. No. Like, you just greedy. Like, you have to do all of this to fuck your family up for some money.
Even in your afterlife, you're like, well, I already know what's going to happen when I die.
For some riches, for some, like, because, okay, so Payman is he's into the arts, and he has like otherworldly knowledge. Like, he knows all the secrets of the world. Y'all want to know that shit that bad? Like, it probably ain't even all that. With that being said, this was Hereditary. I cannot believe we just got through that movie like that. I'm pretty sure I said everything I fucking have to say. I do have a few theories, but before I get into my theories, I want to know what you all thought about the movie.
As soon as the movie went off, I said, I don't get it.
Child.
And then I text my friends and I was like, I'm confused.
Anyway, so
what are you confused about?
I mean, I just didn't get it. I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? I mean, after I talked to
that was the first thing I said.
Like, after I talked to one of my friends, Jaleesa, about it, like, she kind of explained it. She was like, she went on deep dives and she read some stuff. So I looked at one article and I was like, okay, I get it now. But after it, I was like, huh?
So I said, the first thing I said was, what did I just watch?
Yeah, because you definitely text me that.
And then I was like, what did I just watch? And then the second thing I said was, it didn't need to be 2 hours long. I feel like they could have accomplished that in maybe 145, maybe, 145 runtime. I feel like they could have accomplished that. Because it was a lot of slow moments, then up moments, then, you know what I mean? Some of that beginning part could have been shorter, I feel like. But it did keep me like grasping, because it wasn't your typical horror movie. With the jump scenes and scares and all of that. It was just more so like, you got to pay attention. I never really had to like rewind a horror movie before to kind of catch some of the stuff. So I did appreciate that part about it for sure.
I think, we all see how I feel about this movie, but I don't think a minute was wasted in this movie. And I feel like if they cut any more out, I don't know, I think it would change a lot of the things, because all of the lines, they come back in some way. They either telling you info that you need to know that you don't even realize that you need to know. And that's why I do enjoy this one, because if you muster up the strength to rewatch it, you notice so much more. Like, even there's this one thing that people are arguing about, and survivors, we can tussle about it. I have picture evidence that has changed my mind, but one of his friends is in the cult and they're in the treehouse bowing at the end. If you guys notice, it's the friend that has the black hair with the man bun. Hold on, let me show you guys the picture. Survivor, just hold your horses. I will post a picture for you guys to see at some point somewhere. Just, I know you can't see it right now. This kid right
here. That is him. Interesting.
Yeah. And some people even think that Bridget was also a part of the cult. I don't think Bridget was a part of the cult, because we see too much reaction from her. I just think if she was, she would have been more like a Joan figure, like more lax in that way. And if Peter wasn't going, of course, then pushing him. But I don't think she was a part of it. I've already told you guys about a few of the theories, like the Charlie Payman theory about how she was Payman from birth. I do want to talk about the picture of Payman we see in the movie is not actually the image of Payman, if that makes sense. Ari Aster apparently drew this. And when he drew it with the staff, Payman carries a bag of heads with him, and you notice it's 3 heads. I believe that obviously these are supposed to be Ellen, Charlie, and Annie's head. And this also like explains like how I was talking about how Payman has to travel through like getting out the head. Now, like I said, this is not accurate info. I've put links down below if you want to like actually know how payment get down. That's on y'all. I'm just gonna let y'all have that. I've read some, not the whole thing, but if y'all want to, y'all have at it. But anyway.
Nope.
Right. So I'm like, y'all are really good. But I just like how this movie does not waste anything. Like literally every time you watch it, it's just like Final Destination. You finding something new. And that's why I am proud to say that I am a proud Ari ho. And if you want to fight, I respect people's opinions. But
when we got to the seance part, I got kind of bored. The first seance. Because I was like, this movie not over yet. 2 hours is very long to me, depending on what it is. Yeah.
But see, the run, like even before I always watch a movie, I always check the
Same.
runtime. The runtime is what kept me watching because I'm like, you usually don't hear of a 2-hour scary movie. Like that's just not common.
Well,
and I was just like, why is this 2 hours? So I mean that kind of pushed me to the end.
This man is about to do a 4-hour horror comedy. I just looked up Ari Aster and it said a 4-hour horror comedy he's trying to do.
I mean, Mia Samara is Mia Samara almost 3 hours?
Oh my God. Y'all want me to watch that too?
I like those movies. The only horror movie that did not need to be that effing long was It Chapter 2. Like that movie is long for no goddamn reason and we went nowhere. But anything else, because even The Bad Seed, our first horror movie we ever watched, that was 2 hours and 4 minutes.
It was.
And yeah, but
Ratings.
Hereditary got a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb, an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 3.3 out of 5 on Facebook, and 74% of Google users liked this movie. I'll let Johnny go ahead and go first. Johnny, what do you rate Hereditary?
I'm giving it a 75.
How did I know? How did I know?
I was literally gonna say 75. I was gonna say about 75.
I will say I'm highly disappointed.
I didn't hate it. This
is a blasphemy. I feel like you two are totally out of line, and I do not respect your opinion. No, I'm just kidding.
I really don't understand how people were scared of it though.
My feelings are a little hurt. I do have to say. I feel like the work Mr. Astor has put in, and yes, I have my Ari Ho hat on. This movie deserves 100 tickets, and that's what I'm giving it. It's the first 100 of the season. And y'all can fight me on Twitter, IG, Spotify, wherever y'all want to fight, y'all can fight and tell me why this don't deserve 100 tickets. Because I'm ready, and I will argue you down. All right. With that being said.
Dang. I haven't even hit 80 tickets yet.
Because you're not giving these movies a chance.
I did give it a chance. I watched it.
I feel like one of these, this is like the 6th movie we done did in this season. One of them
7.
from you. Like the way you do these movies, you would have thought they were chopped liver.
Like this is our 7th movie, and the highest I've given is a 75.
That's crazy. Like I feel like the last 4 movies you've given a 75.
3. Wrong Turn I gave a 45.
Well.
Wrong Turn 4.
Well.
There's 4.
It's more than 4.
It's like 7 of them. It's a bunch of them. All right. Before I turn into one of those Ari Ho fans, because I don't want to do that, but it might happen. Let's get into the souvenir shop.
Thanks for writing. Before you go, take a detour into the souvenir shop.
All right, for the souvenir shop, I'm gonna be honest with you. I ain't got no souvenirs because this movie, actually, yes, I do. I'm lying. Miniatures. All kinds of miniatures. Build a miniature. You know how Crocs, how they got like their little gibbets, whatever the fuck they call, and you can like pick your own. Like for Hereditary, I want you to like create your own miniature. So you'll get a body like this, Or you can get a body like this, and it'll come with little like attachments that you can put stuff on. Maybe some bird heads up in there, something like that. As always, you guys can check out the cover art on our IG or Twitter pages, where I try to find as many as I can find, and I found so many for this one. So you can check all those out. But the main cover art for this one is, and like I said, this is also why I thought this was going to be a creepy kid movie. It's Annie at the top standing over Charlie, who, how do I describe this? Annie's on top of Charlie, and they're both looking at us. But if you look all the way down at the bottom, there's a miniature with his head cut off. Now, I've been trying to figure out for the longest, is this a bird head or is the head screaming? Because I really don't know.
Which one are you looking at?
This one.
That's a mouse.
That's a mouse?
Yeah.
Like a rat?
Yeah.
That is a mouse head. Oh my goodness, I see it now. The part that I think is a screaming mouth is an ear. Oh, Jesus. All right. Zoom out of that. Okay. Let's go. Okay, before we get into these park announcements, I want to thank Shaquille for joining us on the show today. I was so happy you were able to stop by. I know you into possession horror, and we actually should have had you on a Deborah Logan episode because that shit.
Oh.
Yes, but I had, I'm glad you picked this one because I had a great time talking to you. Once again, for our survivors, plug yourself again and let us know everything you got going on so they can check you out.
Thanks for having me, y'all. This is Shaquille, also known as BlackWikk on Instagram, BlackWikk. Check me out for all your latest art and events coming to your area.
I'm going to have all his info down at the bottom as well, along with all the there's going to be a shit ton of show notes for this episode. I'm just letting y'all know now. So all that's going to be at the bottom. Next week, we called a substitution, y'all, because real quick, let me get into the park announcements and I'll explain. We called a substitution because I never seen Legion. John A never seen Legion. When she picked it for this month, I don't think she knew. It's okay. And it's okay because I ain't know either because I ain't never seen the movie. It don't got nothing to do with nobody's grandma. That's just a very small 30-second scene.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's kick that out. You seen Legion? Yeah, though we didn't see it, so we was like, yeah, we're just going.
Okay, so in my defense, when you said Nannies Gone Wild, I literally was thinking nanny, like a babysitter nanny, and not a grandma.
But that's a grandma in the movie.
We've
never seen it, but you know what I meant when I said nanny. I told you when I explained it, I said grandma or person of older status before we even cemented the scene. You was like, yeah, that sounds fine. And
I don't even remember picking Legion. I don't remember picking Legion. That sounds like I picked that.
We decided to pick this movie that we randomly found on Tubi. It's called Grandma's House. It's an 80s movie. It looked like it's cheesy as fuck, and y'all know I like that. John A might not like it. We ain't never seen it. We don't know. We gonna find out. If you've seen it, let us know what you think about it. And if you haven't seen it, like I said, you can watch it on Tubi before we review it next week. Other than that, hit us up on our social medias, IG, Twitter, TikTok, D180 Podcast. If you want to join our Patreon to get a load of that new series, Delete It or Leave It, where I assess deleted scenes. If you want to see what me and John A think about this Scream movie, you can see that and a whole bunch of other shit that's on that Patreon. Other than that, I think that is it for us today, and we will see you next time that the park opens, survivors.
Bye, y'all.
See you soon.